Hey, everybody. Happy Friday evening. Welcome to a belated CAF update. We had a little bit of a storm here in Central Florida, but we have all things well in hand now. We're all back up in line. I was without power for 24 hours. I think it was around 1 a.m. when the power went out. I was fast asleep by that time, but when we woke up the next morning, everything was out. Internet was down. No electricity. Didn't come back on until about 9 o'clock last night. So I could have almost done the show, but it was best to postpone last night's CAF update and schedule it for tonight. So we'll try to keep things fast paced, try to get done by 11 o'clock. I've got another show tomorrow at 2 p.m. with John McCrae. So we'll be hanging out with him tomorrow, doing a interview and art sale. And that should be fun. I had a lot of fun hanging out with him the last time. So as far as the storm goes, hurricanes, at least here in Central Florida, about an hour from the coast, they don't tend to be as bad as what happens on the coast, but they are pretty, you still get a lot of wind, get a lot of rain. This is, I think, the third or fourth one since I've been here. Definitely the worst. It came from the south, but the funny thing is, it's just the way the wind swirled it. Everything, all the wind came from the north. So I'd gone out and staked a bunch of the trees and things to try to make sure everything would not get damaged, and didn't work out as I had planned. But by and large, it was just really noisy. I guess is the best way to put it. Casper got a lot of rain where he was at. I probably got about half of that, but other than that, here we are. Just took no internet for a day, and that kind of set me back. So I'm coming into this show hot as well. But again, it's a Friday night. I'm glad that so many of you are free on a Friday night so you can hang out with me. Saw Heiser said he was coming in just to see how windswept I actually looked. Not too bad. Not too bad. I did shoot a piece of video, though, while the storm was going on, because I figured many of you might be curious what it's actually like to be in Central Florida in the middle of a hurricane. And so here, a little something. What is this? Only 20 seconds long. Oh, that's the trash can that got blown over. Holy shit. How did the trash can get on the other side of the van? Oh, I heard the other one go down. Oh man, I dropped a holy yes, didn't I? Whoops. All right, so I meant to bleep that out. I really did. So yeah, that was unexpected. Oh no. Yeah. Even cows fly during these storms, but it was about 100-mile-an-hour wind around here, maybe 90. I don't know. It felt pretty bad, but yeah, my trash cans, that's what I learned my lesson. I left the trash cans out. I didn't know. Well, the last few hurricanes, nothing happened, but this time all three of them got blown about 50 feet and all of their contents were emptied out in my backyard. So yeah. Alberto, the cap shows are uncensored on Fridays. Exactly. We're going to call it Uncensored Fridays from now on. But yes, Hydra, exactly. We were lucky, even in preparation for all that, I stocked up on everything. Went out and got a couple cans of propane, figuring if I only had a grill, I'd be able to grill, some food. I do have a propane, not propane. I have a gas generator, so I hooked that up to the fridge when everything went bad. The actual worst thing that happened throughout all of this was, it turns out I'd never used this gas generator before. It was a hand-me-down. Brought it all the way down here from Ohio. It actually had a leak in it, gas leak. I didn't know that, so fired it up, plugged it in, and I had put it, unfortunately, on my front porch where the it's pavers and stuff, but I left it out there. I didn't have to fill it up till later. I could smell a little bit of gas, but I just assumed that's how this thing ran. Well, no, it had a gas leak. So when I finally, got it out of the way, I realized that it had been dripping gasoline for 24 hours on my front porch. So that's a stink that's going to be hard to get rid of, unfortunately. But learned my lesson. The Zevia, you're right, Marcus. The cases of Zevia were the most important thing. We had those in the fridge, along with I don't even know. We had some Coors Light in there. Whatever we could keep cold was what we did. What does Jason say? Have me, Kazra, give me a whole house generator. Yes, those are expensive though, and I think even I would say that's a little too expensive for me. So, anyways, yes, but. At least it wasn't. Yeah, you're right, Corey. That is very true. At any rate, so that was it. Nothing major, but again, the power outage was just the worst thing. And no internet. and being where I'm at in Central Florida, my 5G is absolutely terrible. So I couldn't load any web page. I couldn't load up the power company's website to submit hey, we're without power. I mean, I figured everybody else probably was in the neighborhood, but that was the part that stung. So I did go to my in-laws' house the next day and got a shower, came back, and about an hour after I got back, things were good again. Oh, Jason's got, well, lucky you, Jason. That might have been a selling point for your home. NSN says I can get yeah, I thought about doing that, and I really kind of wish I did, Mike, but what I ended up doing was I started hosing it, figuring it might just be on the surface, but now that I've hosed it too much that the gas is not coming out of it. And the problem is those bricks are all permeable and they're glued to a concrete base, so that gas got underneath the slabs and everything, so it's a mess. Anyway, back to the show. So what do we got going on? We got a lot of stuff going on, and more than we probably need, but we have or care to admit, but we've got lots of stuff going on. Kazer's got a busy weekend. I've got a busy weekend. We got a lot of OAX stuff up in the air at the moment, but it's all coming down. A lot of things are finally falling into place, which is wonderful. We've got sponsors who've signed on, lots of stuff that we'll be able to be talking about soon. But it's been a very interesting couple weeks. Very, I don't know, reassuring once again that we're like doing all the right things, because a lot of people want to come to the show. We're having a lot of people ask us about OAX. We're still having a lot of artists that want to attend, and we're having to let everybody know that we're pretty much booked. So we've already got a 2026 list started, and we could probably start working on a 2027 list at this point. John C says cat litter will absorb the smell. Yes, that is actually on our list, John. I'm going to go out and get some in the morning. Thank you, Marcus, for that reminder about that. Zevia has not signed up as a sponsor, Alberto, although we should probably reach out to them. I mean, a can for every attendee would be my approach to that, because I'd like to think everybody would then donate them back to me, since nobody seems to like them. Have we figured out the food vendor for the auction? We don't have a food vendor, Alberto. Remember, the hotel has to have all the services within there, so the hotel will be supplying the food. I know you may not like that, but it is what it is. So moving along now, we're back to OAX. I'd say right now, we're kind of getting to that point where we can start talking about. Kes just says we're going to need everybody to sign disclaimers if we had to give them Zevia, and I can't highlight his comment for some reason. That's weird. In fact, I can't highlight any comments at the moment. Well, you never know. Nope. Oh, there it goes. Finally, yeah. Everybody is going to have to sign a disclaimer if they're going to have some Zevia. Yeah, everybody can have a cookie every day. It is the Hilton Doubletree. You know that. Just go to the front desk and ask for your cookie. And let's see, what's West Coast Avengers? I've been telling all my artists on my channel they need to say yes to their OAX invites. Exactly. Well, the more collectors we get in here, obviously that's our goal. And I was just going to say, as far as the VIP ticket sales go for the attendees, we're definitely past the 2/3 in sales mark. So if anybody's kind of on the fence thinking about it, we're not high pressure sales here with regards to the VIP, but I can tell you that if you want to hang out, have a great time on Friday evening with all of our exhibitors and our artists that are going to be attending, and probably a little over 300 of your favorite collecting friends, you want to get a VIP ticket. And those are at least 2/3 gone at this point, with just a little under 4 months to go. So keep that in mind. I know there's a lot of, trust me, I mean, I can look at last year's list to this year's list. I know that a lot of people who I'm close with, who I know are going to be getting VIP tickets, haven't bought theirs yet too. So can't people just crash the VIP? Well, we do have security at those doors. So, I mean, they're not armed guards, Marcus, but they are, we do have people checking for badges, and you do have to either have an exhibitor VIP badge or an attendee VIP badge, or staff. All three of those will get you into the VIP party. So yes, you can't crash as easy as you like. Number one Marvel fan says he can't believe the VIP isn't sold out yet. That's crazy. Uh, well, it is what it is, man. I think we're still 4 months out. A lot of people probably think they have time. I think they had time all the way up till late December last year, right? So people probably feel like they have plenty of opportunity to wait. But I can say that I'm pretty confident that we won't have any VIP tickets by New Year's, if not sooner. West Coast Avengers. He's Kazra's date. Okay, but he's going to set boundaries. All right, well that's fair. I'm sure Kazra would want those boundaries set as well. West Coast Dave. Anyway, Marcus is scared to leave the bubble. Yeah, that's all right. One of these days, Marcus will be there. Somebody will have to bring a cardboard cutout of him again this year. So I don't know what superhero he'll be dressed as this time around. Guys, you guys think you know Kazra all too well. What OAX sponsors should all wear capes. That's not a bad idea, Tariq. I like that. It'll make it easier for us to spot them. So yeah, we will. We'll do something. I can't say what, but we're working on. Maureen's wanted to put together a kind of a staff shirt, so she's been working on some stuff to show Kazra and I. Hopefully by this time next week she'll have something she can show us. I saw somebody mention earlier, are we doing an OA meeting over at IX, right? Didn't I see that? I didn't highlight it because it flew by, I think, while I was watching the cow fly by. But we haven't talked about IX and the trip to IX. But Kazra and I will be at IX. We're going to be there Wednesday through Saturday morning. So if there are any other collectors who are going to IX in Reading, PA, we're more than happy to say hi. I'll be working at the IBA booth every once in a while, so I'll probably be very easy to find. Kazra will be bumming around, talking with artists and having a good time. But yes, anybody who's going, feel free to shoot me an email, and I would be happy to kind of make note that you're going to be there too, and we can meet up, because everybody always meets up at the DoubleTree bar every evening. So I know I'm going to be at the DoubleTree probably Thursday and Friday evening. Not staying there, staying a little bit out of town, but I will be at the showcase event on Saturday. So back to OAX. So like I mentioned, we have we're going to end up, I know we're going to have a lot of pre-con or pre-show opportunities that are going to be happening in the they're going to get announced throughout the rest of this month into November, probably even a little bit into December. There's a lot of people that we're still waiting to hear from, and a lot of people that we've heard from that we've not gotten booked on the show. We did have Humberto Ramos scheduled for yesterday to come on the show, and because everything got canceled, he was not able to make it this evening as well. So we're going to go ahead and just announce his pre-OAX opportunity tonight, just so everybody can be made aware of it. I know that it's very limited. I think they're only going to be taking about four of these, but the links are over on OAX now. They are active, and the only thing is, I don't think I set the email to go to Humberto. I think it's still going to go to me, but they are up there, and I can put the link in the chat for everybody to make it easier. And I did not get image examples for every level or tier of Humberto's opportunity, but I can highlight them here and just show off what they are. They're all 11 by 17. Where is that? So like the first one, I don't have any of the black and white examples, but if you're familiar with Humberto's artwork, you know what to expect. Just fantastic stuff. I've always admired his work. So typically, it shows, and I'm sure everybody's seen, there's a ton of them on CAF. He usually does those smaller pieces that are sometimes black and white, sometimes in color, usually on a board that he's, I think, of his own. I think it's got his own kind of logo printed on it or something. Usually they're around 6x9. So these are going to be 11 by 17 single figure, full figure, ink on Bristol, $2,000 for 11 by 17. If you want background, you have to add another $2,500. There is a color example, which is $1,000 more, so $3,000 for a single figure 11 by 17 with no background. If you want to add background, that's $4,000. And I have an example of a single figure with background, and yeah, you can see cover quality right there. So these are opportunities, obviously, that you do not get too often. Like I mentioned, I know that most of the stuff that you see on CAF when you look at his convention sketches are always on the smaller stuff. So this is a rare opportunity to get 11 by 17 from Humberto. And like I said, I think there's only going to be 4, and it doesn't matter which 4. They could all be the first single figure ink, or they could all be single or double or 2-figure color with backgrounds. It's going to be limited to 4. So I do have the price on a 2-character full figure. I don't have an example for it yet. And trust me, as soon as I have examples, I will add them to the slides over on the website. $4,000 for 2 characters on 11x17 with another $2,500 for the background on that. And if you wanted to go with 2 characters, and I took this one off CAF, so everybody have an example, it would be $6,000 for 2 characters and an extra 4 for full color backgrounds. And the link was in the chat, right? I think everybody saw that. At least I hope everybody saw that. Joseph Damon, yes, in addition. Sorry if I didn't say that properly. I thought I was saying that in addition on those. Yes, indeed. So, and hey, Joseph, good to see you. Sorry we got everything screwed up the other night with the weather and everything, but I would have rather had you and Umberto hanging out with us. But, you know, it is what it is. We're here Friday. So anybody that is interested, again, link is in the chat. There is a pre-OAX link over on the OAX Expo website. So you can sign up right from there. And like I said, I think the emails are going to go to me initially. As soon as the show is over, I will update those and have those go to Joseph. And that is absolutely right. Like I said, the 11x17 things are just, you don't see them. Go to CAF and try to find any 11x17 opportunities for convention sketches or commissions from Umberto. You are not going to find them. They are simply not there. So this was something that they opened up just for OAX, and we are very grateful that they are offering this size just for for OAX. And again, that's something that we've tried to work with all the artists who are attending the show. Try to do either bring some stuff that's new. Obviously, that's always important. But when they're doing pre-OAX opportunities, it's something that's a little different. Whether it's a size. Last year, Kevin Nolan did a size up that he would than what he would normally do for pre-show opportunities. And again, we had Adam Hughes doing all those crazy, awesome, incredible pre-con pieces, as well as Sean Gordon Murphy. I mean, that's the thing. OAX is where we want everybody to have that chance to get something that they're not going to get at any other show. And yes, you're absolutely right, Joseph. Everything worked out very well here at the house. We lost some tree branches. That was about it, just in the high winds. And other than that, one trash can was broken. So yeah, it is what it is. CJ, 60 people are watching the show and only 24 people have hit the thumbs up. Yep. Thank you for the reminder. Keep tabs on that, CJ. We need to see that number go up before the end of the show. And West Coast Avengers. Oh, yeah. How much for Gerhard? I don't know. I actually did email with Gerhard the other day. He's very excited to be coming back to OAX. We had really only emailed maybe once or twice in between the last show and this one. And he is such a fun guy. His email back to me was, yeah, he's very excited to be coming back. His wife is going to be coming with him. And if we haven't asked him to do anything special prior to the show, if he comes in and does another 30 or 40 of those small Cerebus related sketches, I'll be more than happy. But he's going to bring some art from the vault. And that's always even if you're not going to buy it, it's worth hitting his table early just to see the pieces that he brings. The Billigan estate is safe. Yes, it's true, CJ. I will say this, that when the hurricane was coming, I did move some of my personal collection out of the office, since it's sort of detached from the house, and I moved that inside. There were a couple of the pricier Brian Hitch portfolios that I had. I moved those inside too, just to out of sheer, to be safe, because you just never know. And I also have these heavy duty plastic bags that I put everything into that have like a zipper on the end. So yeah, my yacht in shambles now. But I was protecting the art. I know that that's always, I think, first on our mind when storms like this happen. After family, right? Family first, maybe your own well-being next, and then it's the art that you own third. I mean, you pretty much have to. I remember when what was it? James Siegel had a hurricane or a real bad storm coming his way, and remember I remember seeing pictures of his house from he had posted on Facebook, where he had bagged everything or triple bagged it and put it in a safe location and left the house. So you can never be too safe with your art collection. any collectors in Tampa area that need to be checked on, asked Hydra. No, I have texted both with Jimmy Palmiotti and Adam Kubert, and they think they're both fine. And also a couple collectors I know in the Tampa area also shot me some texts that they were good too. Everybody lost power one way or another, except for Kazra. Somehow Kazra had his power only flicker, but the two people that I spoke to who stayed in Tampa both lost power for about 12 hours. So Mikhail says he remembers when Aranga tried to drown his artwork. Yeah, that was just down the road when Mikhail and Aranga were here at my house. Every time I look at that sign that says, what does it say? No outlet or road ends or something like that, I think of Aranga. He doesn't believe me that sign's there, but it is. For those of you who didn't know, Aranga once drove Larry and Mikhail into a lake at the end of our road. I live on a road that's called Thomas Boat Landing Road, and it's called that because at the road literally dead ends into a boat landing that goes straight into a very large lake. And there's this big yellow sign, or I think there's even a couple of them that say, road is ending, no outlet, whatever. Well, it was dark and foggy, and Aranga was hauling a down the road and didn't pay attention to the sign, and they got about 20 feet into the water before they stopped and backed up. Aranga is a sign denier. He really is. Catcher goes, what a way to die. Yeah, that would be bad. We have this great OA get together and 3 collectors die tragically in Lake Yale. Yeah, that would be a moment that lives in infamy in the history of our hobby. So thankfully that didn't happen. Aranga just will never be able to live it down as well. He shouldn't. All right. So there you have it. So any questions with regards to the Ramos commission opportunities, you can shoot me an email. Joseph, everybody knows, and again, if any of them come into me, I actually did get one. So I will forward that over to, yeah, perfect. And thank you to the person who did that. Oh man, and always a creator choice. So I'm sure that there'll be some emails about that one, but at any rate, great. Thank you for doing that first one. I appreciate it, and you know who you are. So yeah, so we'll get I'll get that over to you, Joseph, as soon as the show's over, and I will update the form to have the email go to you, not me. When we were testing the form, I had it set to go to me, and I forgot to switch it over to you. So there you go. Rick Welch, it would make a great meme. It did make a great meme. I think, didn't I do it? I did a video of that. Didn't I? I think I started an episode of Dueling Dealers with that meme, or something. I'll have to go back and look. But we did something with that. I know we did. I'll dig around and find it, then just to remind you, Rick. But it was a good one. Can make a movie about it. It'd be a short movie. Oh man. All right. So there we have that. So the other thing we can talk about tonight is that the mystery sketches are truly officially live now. And I turned it on right before the show. If you go to the website, underneath the Comic Art Live menu, there is a link that says buy a mystery sketch. I can put that in the chat now as well, so that everybody can easily get over there. You can see that it is live. And prices are the same. We still may add a wrinkle or two to this. I can't say, but we have a few ideas internally about it. We just didn't have a chance to really kind of hammer them out and iron them out right now. But we have, what, five weeks before the show, 5 weeks before the cutoff. So we'll definitely let you know, if anything really changes. But I can tell you that we're going to be adding a lot of other artists to the list. Right now, I've got artists Andy and Veronica Fish, Ben Templesmith as solo artists. I'm sure Bob Layton's probably going to get involved too, although I don't think we confirmed that or not. 4C Comics has James Pascoe, Bill Morrison, Mike DiCarlo. Anthony has Jay Leiston is back. Japan Comic Art Expo is going to be participating. He only gave the Haji's name so far. Jiggy's crew, I think, has 27 artists participating this time around. Julia Sabrera, Manic Sabrera, John Amore, oh my goodness, Kajo, Evie Cantata, Elvin Ching, JP, Elmer, Andrew Drillan. I'm not familiar with Andrew's work. I've probably seen it. I can't think of it right now. Then Rex Espino, Franny, Ralph Gumbach, Kim Jacinto, Jim Jimenez, Lan Medina, Bard Mendoza, Miguel Mercado, Roy Mercado, Pat Mai, Von Randall, Ellery Santos, Salwi, Dexter Soy, Miko Swain, Ed Taddeo, Luigi Terul, Harvey Talibao, and Dexter Wee. Yeah. And I think most of those people are also going to be at OAX. Well, not all of them. Everybody who's going to be at OAX is in that list, I believe. But then we have from Mark's splash page art, we've got Andrea Modungo, who I'm not familiar with, but I know I've seen their name before. Emiliano Erdinola. Sorry, I'm having trouble with names tonight. I wonder why. Nico Di Mattia, Maxi Dallo, Juan Samu, Moratat, Francisco Prenzini, Maxim, and Brian Thies, all from Splash Page. And then Tatiana gave me Jason Krager, Damon Hampton, Near Levy, Marco Galli, Brent McKee, and Cross. So I don't know what that count is right now. It's probably close to 50, but my guess is we'll be a little bit higher than we were last May, which I think we ended up with around 67 or 68 artists. So we'll probably at least hit 70. And, you know, it's that time of year. We only do this twice a year. Mystery Sketch. It's Comic Art Live 10.0. I guess we can look at it like that. And Tatiana, when she sent me her list of artists, she said that she was going to have a bonus upgrade. Somebody who gets one of her artists is going to get upgraded to an 11x17. So I thought that was pretty cool. Maybe we can encourage some of the other reps to throw in a wrinkle like that as well. That would be nice. And I think that, and I should remind everybody too, we actually had 3 giveaway pieces again, just like last time. I've got an artwork by Dan Brereton and Ben Templesmith, which I thought was very appropriate. You know, it's the Halloween time of year. So, you know, we've got a couple of kind of darker characters in that. And then we have a Bob Layton Iron Man as well, all on 9x12. So those will be giveaways that we give out. I think we give those. I can't even remember if it was it on the Friday before Comic Art Live? I can't remember the night we did the giveaway, but whatever night that was last May, we're going to do it again this time. And as everybody knows, what we do is, I think we did it after everything was closed off. And what we did was everybody who bought a mystery sketch, if you bought 5, you were in the drawing 5 times. If you bought 1, you're in it once. If you buy 20, you're in it 20 times. Either way, we spin a wheel and 3 people will get the giveaway artwork. So it worked out pretty well last time, and I think Alberto got one, Matt Moore got one, and I don't remember who the third one was. Either way, and so you have that. You've got the upgrade from TD Art, and more than likely we'll have a few other things to roll in there. Strangely enough, one of my picks tonight for the artwork that I'm going to be talking about is the potluck piece from last May that Simone DeMeo did. So that was one of the 10 pieces, and it wasn't because of Mystery Sketch or anything. I just loved DeMeo's work, and I thought it was really cool. Khalil got that piece. If everybody remembers, he got the upgrade to that. Well, it wasn't even. Yeah, it was a giveaway, right? So he got, that's right, because he got his regular one. Oh, that's right. We were upgrading his Mystery Sketch to that. He wanted to still get what he asked for from whom he got, and he paid extra for that one. So yeah, it all worked out in the end. He got 2. So yeah, all good. But Alberto said, "Oh, did you win the Bob Layton one?" Yeah, that was like a bust, I think, of Tony in armor, if I'm not mistaken. Corey Russ says Alberto will have 20 sketches this time. You never know, but the thing you have to ask yourself with Alberto, you know, I don't think he's going to go all cap. He mixed it up last time. He did like half cap and half Red Sonja. What's it going to be this time? You never know. But either way, we had a record-setting Mystery Sketch of sales total last time. It was fantastic. We really, I got nothing but great positive feedback after it. Everybody knows that, you know, all of the artists put a little extra effort into these pieces. So irrespective of us adding in any different tiers, higher tier, lower tier, whatever, you know that the artists are really going to go that extra mile for these things. So, I enjoy it. I enjoy getting to do the unboxings with the reps afterwards, and it's like Christmas. I guess I get to open up and take a look at over 100 pieces of art before I mail them out. So and I can already see that I've been getting in some orders already. So thank you for everybody who's already started pre-ordering. You know who you are. So thank you very much. Yes, I will be asking for a few Cyclops and a few Thors this time. We always, in the house here, Maureen and I typically buy 5 I think, every year. Maybe we got, or every show. I think we got maybe 6 last time. It all just depends on, this. We'll probably actually buy a few more this time because we've always tried to give a few away as Christmas gifts. As odd as that may sound, that's what we like to do. So the November one is usually our opportunity to pick up a few things for other family members. So think about that. Yeah, it might not be just a piece for you. You can give it to somebody you love at the same time. Do we combine on shipping? Stingery wants to know. We actually don't, Stingery, and the reason is because you could have one piece go to Next Comic Art, another one go to TD Art, another one go to Mark, and because it's all randomly drawn, we can't guarantee that your artwork is going to get shipped by the same person, so we can't combine an art. So it's $200 as a base price with $25 shipping, and we charge you basically $225 per mystery sketch. So yeah, that's kind of how it works. And by and large, I haven't seen it ever happen where somebody who's ordered 3 or 4 all had them with one outfit. Typically, it's always going to be split up. If you have 4, you're almost guaranteed to have them coming from 3 different places. So that's kind of how we've had to do it. Yeah, and it does make, there's just no other really fair way to do it, unfortunately. Mikhail says we could waive shipping and pick up at OAX. That's not a bad idea, but I've already started it. But yeah, that might be an incentive to get people to go to OAX, Mikhail. So we're going to I'll make a note of that. I'm sure Kazer's making a note of that on one of his many sketch pads and ruled lined papers. But it isn't a bad idea. You could do a pickup at OAX and pay $200. Sure. I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, what is it? All the reps on there except for, let's see, Yoshi. I think Yoshi would be the only rep that's not going to be at the show, but Yoshi mails all of his stuff to me. So in theory, yeah, I could get them and then drop them off at OAX as well. And I'm just looking at it. Yeah, all these people are always going to be there. Well, Ben, I don't think is coming to OAX this year, and but he could always ship his stuff to me. See, all the ideas flow when we're here talking about it. Marcus. Jason says maybe he'll get 2 this time. You've done pretty well, Jason. I have to say, you've done pretty good. You've always gotten stuff that a lot of people have been envious of. So, and that's the gambler in you, and maybe you do well when you go play cards as well. No, they didn't blow away, Rick Welch. The pre-cut Masonite is still happily in the garage. Can I order them as gifts and get them shipped to them, or do they have to come to me? John, if you really wanted them shipped somewhere, we could make that work. Usually it's better if I'm the one who's got the order and shipping them. I can be a little bit more flexible, but yeah, it's something that could be worked out. But at the end of the day, we expect to have all of the pieces in the mail by December 2nd, I think is the calculated date that we put on the order form. So with that in mind, anything would make it to you with enough time to repackage it and ship it to somebody for a gift. But yeah, hey, but you never know. But the thing is that the mystery aspect of it does make it a little bit more challenging, because I can't tell you that you went to Jiggy's team and whatnot. I might be able to tell you that I can help you with that, and not tell you who got it. At any rate, somebody really wanted it, I'm sure we could. We aim to please here at Cap HQ. All right, so there you go. So I'll be sending out mailings for the mystery sketch sign up, of course, and I will also be plugging mystery sketches from here on out. And like I say, I've got a few more reps that I've reached out to that I haven't heard back from. And I can pretty much guarantee that we will be adding another 25 to 30 additional artists to that list. Marcus says Goblin Queen requests are hot. They do get a lot of comments on CAF. They definitely do. Oh my goodness. So yeah, outside of that, what other important dates are there? With regards to Comic Art Live, on Monday, booth setup begins. So for those of you who are premium members with art for sale, you can start setting up your booth on Monday. As I locked everything down, so hopefully everybody moved out their artwork from the last Comic Art Live. I know I had like 3 people who hadn't done it email me at the last minute, so they were able to move their art out. Can't move it out anymore. We're going to be clearing out the inventories that are in there right now, so people have to add all new artwork into their exhibitor booths for Comic Art Live beginning on Monday. I'll send out an email to all premium members letting them know that the time has come to start thinking about setting up their booths. And I'm sure I'll send out an email to all the non-premium members letting them know that if they had art for sale, now was the opportunity to go premium, because this is the weekend to get your art for sale in front of 20,000 people. So it's a wise thing to at least try out. And remember, if you're a premium member, you gain access to the show 2 hours before everybody else. So you get to buy everything before those non-premium members even have a chance to set foot on that virtual floor. So something to think about. Marcus says people will just put the same art in again. I don't know. You never know, Marcus. Jason says price is going up at the end of the year. Well, I don't know where you heard that, but you never know. The thing is, it's worth noting, premium memberships at CAF have been the same price for, I think, almost 9 years right now, everybody. Name me one subscription service that has stayed at the same price and offered more value year in and year out than CAF. 9 years. I mean, we've introduced, the Comic Art Live show and live streams and all these other fun opportunities, and added so much more. We added in the as it happens keyword alerts. You name it, the value of premium services have gone up, and the price is not, in 9 years. So, like I say, 9 years just ain't long enough for Jason. Yeah. Okay. Marcus says his AOL dial-up has not gone up in 9 years. Okay. I'll give you that. Berkey's probably paying the same for his AOL all this time. Same thing with Albert. I mean, that says something about them, right? That they both still have AOL email addresses. Anyway, but yeah, we haven't done that in a while. But is it probably on the horizon? Sure. But I can tell you, we got a lot of other cool things that we're working on right now that are perks for premium members, and things that are either in the works or on the drawing board, and all kinds of fun stuff. So just add-ons. But hey, at the end of the day, Comic Art Live 10 is 5 short weeks away. So get in there, get ready, and if you haven't gone premium, now's the opportunity to do it. In the past, we always gave a 3-month option for premium memberships, and I think that link still may be out there, but we've been kicking around not having a 3-month option any longer. Just people going and paying for 1 year in advance is how it may go, or maybe 6 months. Who knows? Either way, people were paying $35 for a 3-month membership so they could get in for free. Get in 2 hours early with the other premium members, and premium membership right now is $75 a year. So $35, I mean, you're literally, it doesn't make any sense. The value isn't there. Why wouldn't you just spend $75 anyway? Is the iPhone app out yet? I see Knights of Old has asked. It is so darn close, Knights of Old. The beta testers haven't gotten to see a version in a while, but I got a new update myself today that I have to go through and run through a couple tests. But if everything is up to snuff, I'm going to be sending out a link for the beta testers to go ahead and get it. I haven't given access to the 2 Android users yet. So yeah, we're very close. Ideally, it's going to be out there by Comic Art Live, which is 5 weeks away. So it's that close. We're down to the nitty gritty of just simple stuff like, does it do the exact same thing on Android now? So yeah, when we're at that level, it's almost go time. So it is. Jason's mad. He wants a new upgrade. I have to test one thing, Jason. It's the thing you guys haven't been able to test yet that you've been wanting to test. I'm not going to say what that is, but it's finally at that point, and I have to test it first. So if it works, everybody else will get to test it too. Jewish Dragon says premium is only 21 cents per day. Is that true? My gosh. Now that's a value. That's not even a coffee a day. Yeah. So we do have a lot to think about, but yeah, the app is just right around the corner, and it is going to change everything. It is a game changer. I think I spend way too much time. I was jonesing for the app when the power was out here. Let's put it that way. No internet. Super Zoom features is required. Well, I won't go into it. So, but there is a lot of good stuff. Oh, and Chuck Arnold. Thank you, Chuck. Chuck even mentioned that the market data, which is woefully underused and undersubscribed to, is Chuck says it's invaluable, and that's true. It lists things that there's nobody else out there. Everybody else is faking it, but who might have some sales history out there. We, on the other hand, with regards to art dealers, we have market data for all the art dealers that we've worked directly with and hosted their websites. Like Anthony Snyder, I've got data from Anthony all the way going back to like 2005. Same with Berkey, Albert, you name it. So we have sales history for every comic art dealer, and these are confirmed sales. These aren't, oh, they took it off their website, we think it's a sale, but you be the judge of that. No, these are pieces that we know were marked as sold, and what the price was when they were marked as sold. So there's a lot of value in all of that. So hey, Antoine, good to see you. And Gazer, Jason takes his car to the mechanic every day because the coffee is free. All right. Yeah. That's possible. Anyway, let's move this thing along. So that's enough of that. But the app is close, and I can't wait for everybody to get their hands on it. At this point, it's like I'm tired of looking at it. I want everybody else to look at it too. You're going to be thrilled. So, number one Marvel fan has 2 friends that go to hotels every morning for free breakfast. I hope they're staying at the hotels. Number one Marvel fan, where they just kind of slide in the back door. Oh, that sounded bad, didn't it? Anyway, and I really am going to move right after that. Where are we going? I can show you the schedule. How's that? Schedule. Don McRae tomorrow at 2 p.m. I think we're going to have about 20 pieces of art available. I have to double check. The only downside to that is John sent his art to me with plenty of time for it to get here, but because of the storms, it actually got held up, and I don't think I'm going to have it in hand when the show starts tomorrow, but I'm sure it'll be here Monday or Tuesday at the latest. But I've got all the scans from John, so I'll be able to at least show that, but I can't show the art in hand, unfortunately. I've got Hulk collector Steve Yarish on the 15th. I got Fred Hembeck on the 27th. Remember, 27th is a Sunday. That is because that week I will be at IX with Kazra Wednesday through Saturday. So we will have a Fred Hembeck art sale at 2 p.m. on Sunday. The 27th, I know that you Fred Hembeck fans like to kid around and throw different dates at everybody. It is definitely the 27th is when we're having it. So try to confuse your friends if you want, but I can guarantee you it's going to be a good show. We have that other Steranko homage piece and 5 other spot illustrations, and Fred also sent me, I think, another 8 scans of, what was in it? There was a Marvel Tales piece that had a couple female Marvel characters in it, along with Fred. That was published, and I think that's a DPS, and another, I think, 2 published covers. One, I think, was a Dynamite cover, surprisingly, and I can't remember what the rest of were. Probably like 4 team up kind of illustrations. So that'll be good. I've been emailing with Mike Oming. He sent me a list of stuff today that he is going to be sending me, and yeah, Mike's in a good mood. I think he's going to be sending me about 30 pieces, just very varied prices. I think some covers like he always has, but he's got some recent Hellboy stuff that he's done and a few other things. So he's going to have that art to me, I think, next week. Jim Halperin, Mr. Owner of Heritage, of course, or chairman of the board, I can't remember his exact title. He's going to be with me on the 29th. And I got Linsner on the 9th. Got the previews. I've got the 10th Comic Art Live. I got Ed McGuinness as part of that. And Tariq, TAMD1, in the chat will be hanging out with me on the 19th. We'll be decompressing after a Comic Art Live and having some fun talking about his collection. And he's picked up a few pieces here or there from me over the last few months, and maybe we'll even look at one of those. You never know. So there you go. That's my schedule. And you know, when I'm looking at the schedule, I can't talk. Oh, there's Brian Eady. Yeah, Brian, I mentioned earlier, OA Collector meetups planned for IX. I don't have any, but now that I know you're going to be there, I mean, yeah, at the end of the day, I'll be at the main show Thursday and Friday, along with Kazra, and I will be back at the Hilton or the DoubleTree. What's the base hotel? It's a DoubleTree, I think. I will be there on Thursday and Friday evening. And the showcase, of course, is Friday evening, so I'll be there for that. Oh man, yes, it's Sunday, Jason. So at any rate, Brian, yeah, please feel free. I probably won't be bringing any art to show off because I just probably won't have any time to pack anything up. But oh, you live in the area. Oh, good for you, Brian. Awesome. Well, be sure to stop by and say hi. I'll be at the Infected by Art booth, which is on the second floor of the Goggle Works. So I'll probably be there about half the time on Thursday and Friday. But yeah, looking forward to seeing some collectors there. Obviously, I'm a huge illustration art fan, as is Kazra, and you know, we love it. You know, all this stuff that's on the wall there, I think everything I picked up at IX, except for the Daryl Sweet Xanth cover prelim. That's that one right there. That one I picked up from a collector on CAF, actually. But everything else on that wall I picked up at IX. So fun stuff, and affordable too. It's a show unlike any other. Patrick and Jeannie Wilshire are the best. All right, I don't know what that is, Carl. Is that a hand with a pair of eyes on it? I can't even tell. Or is that a fly? Man, I do think I need glasses. All right. Yes, exactly. You were Piers Anthony's IT guy for a while, Brian. You lucky dog. The Xanth novels are my favorite fantasy stuff after Tolkien. I mean, I kind of have to say Lord of the Rings will be number one, but the Xanth novels are definitely number two. And what would I put at number three? I don't know. Got to move it along. Yes, Daryl K. Sweet. You know that, Rick. Yeah, that's somebody who's up your alley, I think. Anyway, scratch a couple things out here. All right, so I told you I'm shooting for 11 o'clock tonight. But let's see. I do have a video to play for everybody. This one is from Baltimore. If everybody remembers, last week I did show I didn't play it live, but we posted it and linked to it. That was the Comic Art Fans members who went to Baltimore, shot some video. Rich Cirillo sent in that clip that I showed last week, but Tom McDonald and Carl and Southern Comic Geek and Peter Rowe. I know there are a few other ones. Shot a lot of video. Carl Choi was there. I think he's actually in this clip too. But they did some interviews while they were there. It was great. You know, this week we're going to get to see a little interview with Joe Staten and Howard Chaykin. And last week we had the interviews with Dan Jurgens and Walt Simonson. So I'll get this video posted to our channel probably on Sunday, but you get the pleasure of watching it right now. It's about 6.5 minutes long. And again, Tom McDonald put in the most marvelous editing in here that we could ask for. Thank you, Tom. So here we go.
Yeah.
Man, Sean is a renaissance man. Not only does he draw, he builds. And so check out his latest invention. It's a sketch pinball machine. And the way the kids do it these days is based on time. So as long as you can keep the 3 balls, then it's all time. So check it out, guys.
Since it was your first work for DC, what does the JSA mean for you, and what do you find interesting about it?
Because they weren't the mainstream version of the characters, there was a possibility of things being a little different.
How did you feel about drawing the death of Earth 2 Batman?
You know, it didn't hit me as much as it should have. Everybody really wanted Joker and Batman to like die in a lightning storm on a bridge. So it was kind of like we avoided doing what everybody wanted.
I'm a huge Green Lantern fan.
Sure.
What was it about Gil Kane's art that made those covers so darn compelling?
Well, not to get too into the weeds, but I think to a certain extent, that was the first time that Gil had real confidence in his work. because Gil's work was terrible for many, many years. He started very young, and someone has been posting a bunch of his stuff from the 40s into the very early 50s, and it's just terrible. And it's that work that begins to show what he's learned from Lou Fine and Mac Rayboy. You know, Fine on the B and the Ray at Quality, Rayboy on Captain Marvel Jr. at Fawcett. And those covers really do kick ass. They really do.
One of them.
I mean, in the same way that the 6 issues of Brave and Bold that Joe Kubert drew are canon of Hawkman, and there is no other version of the character that makes any sense to me. It's those issues of Green Lantern that Gil did that define the character in every way.
Yeah, still to this day, I think, in many ways.
Can you talk a little bit about the origin of Huntress?
The idea of Huntress being the daughter of Batman and Catwoman, that actually came from the colorist, Tony Collin. And my take on it was that there is, not to be obvious, but to have elements of the characters, the costumes, coming from each of the parents.
I'm going to shift gears a little bit. Your time in Hollywood, as a writer of comics prior, and then after you came back, and what changed in your view on how to be a comic creator? Did anything change?
Yes, to a certain extent, I relearned how to write working in television. To a certain extent, because I began to understand that I had to develop a stronger sense of standard of structure and organization and understanding of that. And that in television, you deal with it in terms of time. In comics, you deal with it in terms of space. And then I came to understand that in comics, that time itself is represented by the use of space. And I began to reapply the techniques that I'd used to work in television, which is the index cards for each scene, to comic book pages. And I came to understand that doing a comic book page was much smaller in terms of its volume and available real estate than one might have assumed previously. And that you could get all the information you needed for a comic book page on a single 3x5 index card with no real effort. And then I pin them up on a board. I don't number them until they're finished. Because one of the things you find when you do this and use this technique is that frequently you can interpose one scene from another and still maintain the same effect.
How would something like American Flag be different after you've learned this technique with the cards? Would it be different?
Possibly.
Yeah.
It would have been more structured. I mean, I was still learning how to do what I do for a living when I was doing Flag. Flag was the first thing I did that was really worthy of any real merit, because it was a synergy of text and visuals. That I wasn't telling anybody anything of the story that wasn't being shown. That the pictures and narrative were in tandem and synergistic.
Last question. Krusty Bunkers, what does that make you think of?
A bunch of guys who saved my ass in my early career because I wasn't very good, and Neil Adams was the daddy of the crew, and he imposed a certain martial order of control and quality over the work. That's how those books were published. I mean, those guys made me look good. I sucked. I was
Heard
really,
you say you suck.
I did.
Yeah.
Trust me, because I have a massive ego. I mean, my ego has 2 zip codes. You know, what sounds like self-deprecation is actually acknowledgement of how brilliant I've become. And, but they saved my ass.
Yeah. Would you ever consider covering that in Hey Kids Comics? Did you get that far into the Krusty?
That wasn't that interesting.
Yeah, I think everyone who is a comic fan should check out Hey Kids.
They haven't. The book, nobody. I mean, the very fact that I haven't had the shit kicked out of me as it indicates that nobody's read the book.
Maybe someday.
Thanks, man. Most grateful.
As you can see by the cons that you go to, you often see someone cosplaying Huntress.
Yes, I always love to get pictures with Huntresses. Yes, sometimes embarrassing as Huntress, come back, let me get your picture.
Oh, great job. One and all. Thank you, Tom. And what was it? Who shot that? Stingray helped on that. But anyway, great job. I will get that posted to the channel ASAP. Like I say, probably on Sunday, since I have a show on Saturday. Still got a few other bits here and there. Speaking of, I hope that everybody took a gander at the video I posted last Sunday, which was the Von Hawk. You know that, Marcus? The Von Hawk video was finally dropped on Saturday or Sunday, less than 20 minutes. I think it was only like 19 minutes long, where she talked about the restoration work that she did on that piece of artwork that I had that was bent and already had water damage and other stuff on it that was wrong. But yeah, she kind of goes into some detail. I cut a lot of it out. There was a lot of bio related stuff that, could have made it about 40 minutes long, but you can read about her on our website, vonhawklabs.com. But so much mold. Marcus. Yeah, that was the thing. And I should have known that going in, Marcus, right? I bought the artwork with water damage. It's very similar to what James had with that Excalibur artwork that he had her work on. There was just mold all over that, but it was obvious on his because you could see it right on the surface. Mine, because it was on like a mat board, the mold was in between the layers. So some of the stuff that I clipped out was where she talked about basically scoring the back of the board and peeling the layers up to clean the mold out of it and then gluing it all back down and flattening it out. I could have microwaved it. Yeah. Well, I'm glad Mr. Redjack said it was very informative. And yes, that was Mr. Easy Go Lucky said it was great too. It is, all that stuff. So there's that. But you know what? While the video was playing, I wanted to go see if I could find that Aranga mishap meme that we did, and I think we did a meme too, but it definitely was an intro to Dueling Dealers. So I found the intro, and it was dated about a year and a half ago. So I'll just play it. You guys can enjoy it for those of you who didn't see this before, but this is a true life story. But the only thing that's different is it's daytime in the video that we have here and not nighttime, because it was nighttime. See, that's the only thing Aranga's got working for him, is that it was pitch black and foggy when he ran into the lake.
Come to Florida, they said. Look at our beautiful lakes, they said.
Why are there no lights or signs or anything?
What was that?
Oh boy. There's many things in this life that Aranga can't live down. Dressing as Psylocke still probably ranks as number one, but going all out and ending up in our lake. And that video clip at the end was of the exact spot he went in the water. So, but yeah, true story. He was probably doing 55 when he hit that. So just imagine Mikhail and I just can't even imagine what Aranga was thinking. But Larry had to have been, he was probably clutching his portfolio just like he was there. Anyway, yeah, we'll never let him forget that. So, all right, moving right along, we got a Page I Love segment here, a new one from Mr. Kevin Sharp. So thank you, Kevin. I think we still got like 3 or 4 still up on the drive that I've got to work on. But this time around, he talks with Shelley Bond, who is, or is she still? I know that she's been, I don't think she is anymore. She was a Vertigo editor for a very long time. Worked with like Grant Morrison and many others on those different lines. I think she's doing her own thing right now. And I know actually during the video, she actually mentions that she's starting up kind of this online boot camp for creators. So we'll hear that towards the end of this. But this is another Page I Love segment. Thank you, Kevin Sharp. And after this plays, I'll have my guest art picker tonight on with me. That will be Chuck Arnold.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to A Page I Love. This is Kevin Sharp here, and today I'm joined by longtime comics editor Shelley Bond, formerly of Vertigo, who's currently publisher of her own label, Off Register Press, and we'll talk about some of the cool stuff you can find through there a little bit later. Shelley, Always nice to see you, and welcome to Comic Art Live.
Kevin, it's been too long.
It has been too long, but we're here. We're here.
Yay.
The talent that worked on the comic you've chosen is certainly well known, but I'm almost going to categorize the title as more of a deep cut. So could you tell us what series you've chosen and where you would have been professionally when this was on the stands?
Well, I'm convinced that you put me on the spot like that because you didn't know how to pronounce the title of this series. And let me tell you something, no one knew how to pronounce it, which could be the reason why it took you until yesterday to read it. Not that I'm outing you in public, but I am. The series is called Vimanarama, and it's by the magnificent Grant Morrison, and in my humble opinion, one of his finest co-collaborators in crime, a guy known as Philip Bond. I'd say no relation, but we all know he's a very close relation of mine.
This is a Karen Berger title at Vertigo. Where were you at the time of this coming out?
I was editing everything else in the Vertigo line. Just kidding. Honestly, I was working on so many other books at the time. I was a full editor. I think probably just editing my own titles and super busy and not assisting her on this book. And it became one of my favorites because I had nothing to do with it except for the fact that I fell to my knees when I saw the artwork come in. I would go into Karen's office to update her on other things. And I remember when the artwork came in, I had always liked Philip's work, but I was so used to seeing Philip's work with Peter Milligan on Shade. But this was next level because it was so meta. And so I thought for sure that this book was going to be a grand slam hit. And I thought everybody was going to be loving it and reading it. And unfortunately, a lot of people missed it, and yourself included. So I'm just thrilled that I was able to bring it up today and talk to you about it because it is unlike anything else ever committed from brain to paper in comics. This series and this page in particular, it's one of a sequence, is so mind-blowing that to me, it's the one page that exemplifies what it means for a writer to find their perfect match, an artistic collaborator, where two minds, sometimes warped in different ways, can unite over a script and meet on the page. And what they bring to life is beyond anything that you could conceive. That is the reason why I make comics and I edit comics and I love comics, because it's the ultimate art form on Earth and outer space. Mic drop.
Well, that's a perfect transition for us to dive into the page you've chosen. Now, this is from the last issue of a 3-issue series. This is certainly striking imagery just without knowing the context of the story at all.
It's unlike anything else ever imagined in any medium. I kid you not. When you take a close look at it, I challenge you to come up with something that's even somewhat close to this level of genius. What Grant and Philip did with Vimanarama in this section in particular was to reinvent time and space and brainwave and pencil and ink. It's as simple as that.
With your editor's eyes or just your art fan eyes, looking at the sequence unfold, talk to us a little about kind of the rhythms of the page and just as it jumps out at you.
Well, I think one thing that's really clear is that they've worked together before. So they were comfortable working together. Philip told me that he didn't recall it being very specific in the art direction. And it didn't surprise me because I knew from talking to Grant, even back in the mid-90s, I wasn't married to Philip at this time. I was crazy about his art, but I didn't know him very well. Grant, on the other hand, we were like in the trenches together on The Invisibles. So I had a really good idea of how much art direction he supplied. And Philip confirmed there wasn't a whole lot. But I will tell you that I think because Grant and Philip have very similar upbringings in pop culture, I think they both probably were on the same wavelength even before this scene was concocted. And what I mean by concocted is I think what I like to call virtual ping pong between a writer and an artist who get each other, who respect each other, and who can't wait to just not only keep throwing like ping pong balls back and forth, but eventually graduate to paintball. And that's what I think you get here. And not only do you get such a beautiful sequence of a young man who basically is coming of age before your eyes. He was part of an arranged marriage. And when he met his future bride, he wasn't quite sure, and she certainly wasn't quite sure, but they were falling for each other anyway. And I think what you see by the end of the series here is such a synergy between writer and artist, between the page and what happens in between the panel borders. And from the moment you go from left to right, top to bottom, and then over to the page turn. Because to me, sequences like this are so profound and they smack you in the face, but only when you don't expect them. It definitely ticks all the boxes in the Shelley Bond school of page composition. Great figures. We know where we are. We know who we're with. We've got a variation in figure size. We've got beautiful close-ups, as Philip Bond always does so well. We've got profile shots. We've got two shots. And we've just got what I think sums up what you always want in the third part of a series at a denouement. Something so fucked up that you'll never forget it.
Speaking of mic drop, I think we have to leave the page on that note. Can you tell the viewers a little about what you have from Off Register and where they can find your current output these days?
Absolutely. So Off Register Press is the boutique comic book imprint or label that I run with my husband, the amazing Philip Bond, who I just talked about. Now, Philip is the one who actually has something very exciting going on in the weeks to come. His Kickstarter is going to launch for Geezer #3. And I know, Kevin, that you're a big fan of Geezer, and it's all about a Britpop band that should have made it, but didn't quite make it during the Britpop days of Blur versus Oasis. And Geezer's cool because it's a 7-inch comic book that we're modeling after the classic 7-inch single. So that is the next big thing from us. But I also want to tell you about filthandgrammar.com. I'm going to be launching a website that's all about teaching the fine art of editing comics, and not just for editors. Really want to push making comics that much better, that much more professional looking for anyone at any stage of making comics, from absolute beginner to seasoned pro. So that's going to be exciting. That's coming up within the next few months. And I have one other book that's coming out called Record Thieves Like Us. And it's a really special art book that I put together with a newcomer to comics, a young female artist who's known as Art by Lid. And it's basically just a book about 20 records that changed my life. It's modeled after something that happened during the pandemic. I don't know if you were part of the 20 records in 20 days challenge, Kevin, that went around. I took it very seriously. So as a gift to myself, I decided to commit it to paper. And it wasn't until I discovered Art by Lid's sensational artwork on Instagram did I know that I found the person who could bring it to life.
Absolute pleasure as always. I'd love to hear you talk like the fine art of comics making, and of course, music at any time. We can work that in as well. And thank you again for
Hey, all right. So there you go, Shelley Bond. And thank you, Kevin Sharp. What did I see on there? I saw that Tariq read that comic, which I'm not going to try to pronounce either. What was it? Vimanarama. But I, like Kevin Sharp, did not read it when it came out, although I didn't read it after. But I'm sure it's interesting because it's Grant Morrison. And you can never go wrong with that. And yeah, Marcus, it's Calf Fridays. So what did we get? We got an F-bomb that got dropped right there by Shelley Bond. So what can I say? We're unfiltered on Friday evenings. I guess that's what we should call it. Unfiltered Fridays. But yeah, you don't get these too often. So anyways, in the green room, ready to rock and roll is Mr. Chuck Arnold. Look at that.
Unfiltered Fridays. Fuck yeah! What's up, Bill?
Hey, look at you got your Flynn's Arcade shirt on, man.
I do. That's my
Lynn's Arcade Tron throwback T-shirt. Pretty cool. That was.
Uh-oh.
Oh,
Oh,
sorry,
my
Florida.
camera. Oh, you suck. Can you believe that?
I can vamp for a minute.
Yeah, you can while I reset the darn thing.
It was funny that she was talking about, I don't know anybody that's done that with time and space, because there is an artist that also worked with Grant Morrison. I don't know if people have heard of him, named Frank Whiteley, who did that in a book called We Three that was just incredible. That's not me selling Philip Bond short. I think he's a great artist, but.
Well, I wouldn't mind getting a page from We Three one day if Vin would ever put them out on the market.
I don't think it'll ever happen.
I don't think it will either. But
I think he has 3 kids. I don't know if this is public knowledge or not, but I think from what I understand, those are gifts to his children. So I don't know if that's true or not. That's what I've heard in the ether.
I can dream about owning. I loved the story when it came out.
Yeah. Oh, they just came out with a new book. It should have been here today, but it's coming tomorrow. But they came out with the anniversary edition, 25th anniversary edition, or something like that. And so, and he did a new cover for it, and it's really beautiful. There's not any We Three art out there. I do know somebody who has the cover to the trade paperback, or we both know somebody that has the cover to the trade paperback. I don't want to out him, but he's a lucky bastard.
It's not on CAF. That's what I'll have to assume.
Yeah, it's not on there. How you doing? How my sister lives in St. Pete, so they just they had to evacuate, and they were in Orlando for the last couple of days, and they got back. They didn't have a lot of damage, but they saw a lot of damage there. It's a real shame what happened down there.
I mean, by and large, at least inland, just a lot of the old trees have blown over. Those I'm not even sure what they're called. But they're the ones with the huge canopies, right? That stretch out. I mean, there's a whole where I live. That's like what every big farm has. A lot of those on the property, and I saw at least a half a dozen blown over when I was driving over to my in-laws' house yesterday.
Wow.
So even like around here, the streets were clear. Half of the roads in the 20-mile drive was just covered with that mossy stuff that hangs in the trees. Well, it was all in the road. So those trees have no moss left in them. It's all over the roads. I've never seen anything like it. I mean, it literally was a shock to see something like that.
Yeah. Well, it's wild. I guess it's the price of
a palm tree
in Florida.
What the heck are those trees called? You know what I'm talking about.
Like a weeping willow?
They look like a willow. I guess it's shaped like a willow, but they're massive. I'm gonna Google it while we're talking here. It's not a palm tree though, Marcus. I'm sorry. I know it's not a eucalyptus tree either, but magnolia, is that it? No, it's not it either. Whatever the heck, they're huge. They're massive. They're literally like 100 feet across.
Yeah.
Yeah. Palmetto, maybe. No, that's not it either. I'm gonna Google it. Stop throwing names at me. I'm not gonna read them anymore. Palmettos are cockroaches down here. Oh man, well let's roll through my heritage picks really quick.
Yeah, let's look what you got. I got something from Heritage this week. I picked up a Jaime Hernandez from Andy Yo Curry last week, and then there was another one up, and it was pretty reasonably priced, about the same price he had his at. So I got another one. I 2 in 1 week. That's too much, but what are you gonna do? I mean, it's Jaime Hernandez, right?
I've been
my first pages I've gotten from him. Oh, but they're both from the New York Times. Like there's a New York Times magazine story that he did. And so anyway,
I've seen the stuff that was from that. I think is a little bit cheaper than getting the Love and Rocket stuff.
Right.
Yeah. I've looked into that because it's like, I feel like I want to get a starter page. And if I could get something between $1,800 and $2,500, to give me a starter page and then work my way up to a $4,000 to $5,000 Love and Rockets page. Yeah. Then I'll be happy.
I think it would be nice to have like a nice cover or pin up or something by him. I don't know. Anyway, we'll talk more about Jaime Hernandez later. Let's look at your heritage picks. I'm going to try not to digress all night tonight.
Yeah, I'm going to try for an early night tonight, just because I haven't done any work on my show with McCrae for tomorrow.
Oh
yet. Yeah. But so I just picked this a Kevin Eastman sketch, 85. You figure it's close to the first year or so of Turtles, right? Because they just had their 40th. So this is almost 40 years old.
Got one in here that's from the exact same time. I've just got to find it.
85. I used to have a couple of these, and I lost them thanks to the mini golf back in the day, and mine were in color too. Every time I see one of these sketches, it makes me weep just a little bit.
He was at a con in Nashville. Oh, here it is. So you can see from '86, but you can see it there.
Yeah,
that's both from the con in Nashville. DP7 by Paul Ryan and Ninja Turtle by Kevin Eastman. Leonardo, who was my favorite at the time. Says, thanks, Chuck, for waiting all day for the sketch. I don't even remember him doing them in ink. That was probably $5 more than I didn't have.
I mean, look at it. It's at $1,000 right now.
That's wild.
$1,000.
That's wild.
That is. It's a nice one though. 85.
Yeah.
Then I picked this one because I know we got some Legion fans out there, and I actually avoided Marvel as much as I could on my 10 picks this time. It's Mike Nazar, Bob Layton inks, everybody. Just again, I thought it's like right out of the 70s with that Final Illusion title there,
her angle there, and her head.
Yeah, exactly.
Where did he source the those?
This is not suggestive in any way.
Like all the breasts are heaving.
All right, yeah. Bob enjoyed inking this one. Well, maybe if he was in the chat, he could tell us a little bit more about this piece. But moving right along, Mike Nazar, one of the continuity guys. Then Wally Wood. Here, I'll even click on this one. I thought this was a good one. Wally Wood. This is from House of Mystery 199.
Oh yeah, that's very nice. I don't know. I have no idea what's going on. But
no, me neither. But I just, it's a guy in a parka in a snow cave with a weird looking, I don't know what.
It's like lots of black. When in doubt, black it out. Wasn't that Wally Wood?
I think so.
Yeah.
That's a good one. And this one's it's at $350 right now.
Yeah.
So that should be affordable.
It's nice. Also, you can see a little Kurtzman influence there.
Little Kurtzman?
Yeah. I mean, looking down at the bottom in that character and the ink.
Yeah.
Yeah. Really see it there. We'll talk about him later too. And this guy, George Perez.
Yeah, this is Perez, Alve inks from a lot of the Avengers pages from this run don't come up too often anymore. And I think people they loved it. And I think in a lot of ways they liked it because of Vay's inks. I mean, he was just really, really clear. Maybe he didn't take Perez's pencils all the way probably to the nth degree, but it was just enough. I mean, I love it.
Pretty close, right?
Yeah.
I mean, more so than the old Marvel stuff. I honestly, I know this is sacrilege to most people, but I prefer this run of Perez on Avengers than I do that early stuff. I mean, I think this is Perez at his full power, where kind of the early stuff looks a little bit more primitive and the inking is rushed. I got Southern for a second there.
Yeah, I know what you mean. But I look at this and, I think if they would have tried it back then, they would have probably drawn every scale on Cap or something. But, it's done just enough that it's Perez and it works.
Yeah, so, very confident artist in this. And there's swordsman. So Patrick, watch out for Patrick on this page.
Uh-oh.
Our buddy Patrick.
And then Gary Frank, Doomsday Clock page. I mean, it's Rorschach all over it. So, and a classic 9-panel layout to keep it feeling Watchmen-y. I love Gary Frank. I think this page is awesome.
He's a phenomenal artist, and I also like it on this book because he started inking himself. I don't know why. I mean, not that I didn't like Mark Farmer or whoever else was inking him, but when he started inking himself, you just kind of get the full Frank. You know what I mean? Like he spots blacks a lot more. He does little lines a lot more. It's I love it.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's there's something about Gary's work. This is just nice. So good.
Yeah, and this has been the weekly auction. How about that?
Yep.
Yeah, that's nice. Very nice.
And see, I haven't picked a Marvel item yet. Now we have a Wonder Woman illustration by Zu Orzu. I just thought it was nice.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Media piece. I like the overlay with the stars over her costume like that. Yeah, it's
who is Zu Orzu?
I know isn't she ripped by Kirby's comic art? Maybe I know
Yeah.
I've seen the name and on CAF.
Was it a cover artist?
I think so. Yeah, there were a few pieces from Kirby comic art related artists in this week's auction. So probably same consigner.
Yep. Somebody's liquidating.
It does happen.
It does happen. That's
Oh,
right.
did I interview Robert? I guess I think you might be right. That was like the first Comic Art Live, maybe the second. Because I worked with Annabelle in the first couple shows, and then once everything opened up, she's kind of done her own thing, and I haven't worked with them. You're right. Maybe I did have Zoo on that one time.
Okay. Well, she's a good artist. That's a
Yeah.
cool looking, kind of like the mixed media sort of thing, illustration art, as much as it is a comic art piece.
Now, my next pick is a nostalgic pick. This is from Power Man Iron Fist 57. So that was that classic X-Men issue with the living monolith.
Right.
You remember that one? I mean,
vaguely. There were some issues that back then I would have loved to have gotten and just never could, afford them because it was a little bit slightly before my time. But I was such an X-Men guy. Any appearance of the X-Men, I would have.
Right. Everybody who was collecting X-Men had to have a copy of Power Man Iron Fist 57. The first Nightcrawler on Spider-Man's book, or I don't know, you name it. There were so many crossovers, right? But when they were in the Rom issue. But this one, there's Cyclops, obviously, in street clothes, Nightcrawler, Storm, and then like the last panel has the living monolith like smashing out of the building and all that. So anyway, to me, this is just a cool page.
Who drew that?
Trevor Von Eden and Frank Springer inks.
The funny thing is also I never had this book, but I remember they would always, when I would get back issues of X-Men, if I was getting a back issue of something and had $3 in my pocket or something, I'd get an issue of the X-Men in the 150s or 140 or something. But they would always talk about like, oh, our friend Misty Knight or Colleen Wing, and they'd always talk about it in the book, and this is the reference to it, which is kind of interesting.
Yeah,
because I don't think I've never seen this one before.
Well, I wouldn't mind having this one myself.
Do it, Bill. Everybody stay away. Bill's going for it.
It's at $78 right now.
It's going to stay right there just for you.
I somehow doubt that, but it's nice to think of that it could happen. But so look, I go back to DC again. Infantino.
Yeah.
I don't really the second page. It's 2 pages of Supergirl, but I really like the layout on the first page.
Yeah.
With this wacky angle, it's cutting into the word balloons. It's making but it works well for a Supergirl page and Infantino. I mean, look, that's like classic Infantino right there. Sure. It's just so it's an acquired taste. Even now when I look at it, it's like I like it because I know it. But when I was a kid, Infantino didn't do it for me.
Me either. I hated his big round heads and his his square jaws and his ugly women. But now I look at it and I see there's some real craft there. I even have a book over here on Infantino, and he's somebody that seemed to really love comics. And actually, if you look at this compared to like your Kurt Swan or some of those other guys that were working for DC back at that time, like it's a lot more stylized, which is kind of interesting. He was putting more of his personality into it. I don't know. A lot of those guys, you hear stories, maybe they were assholes, but whatever.
Yeah, no, I get it. I just every once in a while I have to show artists that I have an Infantino page. I have an Infantino Iron Man page.
Look at the construction. I mean, it's great cartooning, like this long panel, and you've got Supergirl taking off, and the car in perspective, and then he turns the camera around, and then the robot. I mean, it's not a incredibly creative robot that he's made there, but I mean, I don't know. It's a lot of deep dark shadows on one side. It's pretty neat looking. Also, you never see somebody like in this second page. You never see somebody take and just black out half of a woman's face. You just don't see it in comics. Like that was kind of but he's adding such interesting shadows to all of the work. Or maybe that's Anchor, but Bob Oxner, yes. He's a good artist too.
Yeah, definitely. It is. It must be Friday because I'm picking a lot of DC. That's true. Again, here's another DC. Nick Darrington, Batman giant size double page spread, 2018.
Man, this guy is great. And some of these pages, is this the Bendis story? I think is what
this one is.
Albert had a lot of it that somebody sold or consigned to them or whatever, and you can find it pretty inexpensively, a lot less expensive than it was initially on the art drop. But you know, these pages are beautiful. You know, I don't know that the story has any kind of longevity or anything, but I think Nick Darrington's one of the greatest guys around. I mean, his art's awesome.
Well, I agree. So, and look, it's a DPS. It's only $3 right now.
It's sold.
And I finished things off with a Scott Eaton, and I only did it because I don't think we've ever featured anything by Scott Eaton before. This is an Al Milgram Silver Surfer page. Panel layout's good, and I love the blacks in it. Milgram's always he's solid, but this one, there's something I just really like this. There's something. I don't know. When I'm looking at this, I'm thinking, you know, classic early 80s. I mean, it's from 96 though, but it has the style of like the Elementals from, you know, the run that I love, just something with the inks on it. And I love these. I love the storytelling in these 4 panels here, just insetting the guy's eyes. I don't know who's melting here or whatever's happening to him, but I like the page.
Yeah. I don't know Scott Eaton's art very much. If at a first glance, I was like, is that Butch Guice? Is that Michael Golden? You know, like it has reminiscence of both of them, but yeah, I mean, it is. You're right. Like it reminds you of late 80s art, Marvel art. You know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. And look at that. It's at $0 right now, everybody. I'm scraping the bottom here. I went to the bottom of the list to find this one.
Been out for a day, and is
Yep. Yeah, only 24 hours.
$0.
They will definitely
through there. Usually what I do is I go through and like remember there was a really cool from this week. What I was initially watching the auction for was they had a set of 3 Gendy Tartakovsky pages. I think it's from Dexter's Lab or something like that, about like a fight, and it was inked by Bill Ray, and it sat really inexpensively for the entire time, and then yesterday just kind of went a little bit past what I wanted to pay for it. So plus I'd already, you know, bought something else. So
I understand.
That's kind of what happens, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm actually picking up something that I didn't think I was going to get, but it's well, I'll share it when I have it in hand.
Okay.
I'll do an unboxing.
Great.
But yeah, that's good. So I'll do a quick CAF update before we look at the art. Just my son was out all day, so he didn't make the videos for me. But as far as sales and things go, it was your average week for art dealers from the 30th through the 6th. Albert Moy sold about half of what was sold last week. It was around 276,000 in sales, and Albert did 125 of it, and in part largely because he sold. Let's see, I actually have an image of it. We can't really zoom in on it. But this is
Jim Lee's, yeah.
Jim Lee, yeah. X-Men 275 page went for $45,000. So,
I mean, it's a little bit less than a new Batman cover, but you know, that's what happens.
Yeah, well, everybody wants one. So, yeah.
What a cool page that is. I wonder if that was like, did Jim find it? Jim seems to be unloading his art these days, and he's like, I bought one off eBay, like it was just a rando Punisher page.
Mm-hmm.
And then he was selling it at Heritage, and you just wonder if that's something he's like, oh, hey, I've got this here, Albert, sell this for you. I also
so lucky
$220 that's up there at the top, right?
Yeah. Well, Black Viper Adorn's going to send me a check for putting some Scott Eaton in the update. Thank you, Black Viper Adorn. Well, I appreciate that. I'm trying to mix it up a little bit. But anyway, so this is one for 45,000. Albert also had like the number 2 item. What was this? This was a Batman Catwoman cover. Went for $30,000.
Look at all the work that Scott Williams put into that. I mean, look at that inking. I bet he was looking at his Brian Bolland Sergeant Rock cover when he inked that. You know,
definitely inspired by it.
Yeah, should have put a cigarette in Batman's mouth. That is awesome.
Yeah, it really is.
Jim Lee.
I don't see any whiteout either. I mean, I guess there could be a little bit there to do some of that, but I don't think so. Doesn't look like it.
He's very thoughtful with how he works. I mean, it's pretty amazing. They just do a cover every month and then, you know, pay the bills. I think can you hear my cat? Sorry about that.
Was that your cat? I was about ready to text my daughter and say that the cat.
No, that's mine. My Mindy and Abby have been out at the Grand Canyon all week, and so they are feeling very unloved, the cats in the house right now, because I mean, I like the cats, but I don't spend too much time with them.
You don't take care of them like they do.
I mean, I don't, you know.
I get it.
You know.
Well, this one was sold by Berkey, a 1975 calendar pinup by Bernie Wrightson for $18,000. So yeah, that's not too bad. I mean, I didn't even see the second head there.
This is the Bernie Wrightson that I fell in love with. You know, kind of that late 70s into the early 80s. Frankenstein, and like the stuff before that he was doing for Creepy, when he really started with that fine line. It's beautiful. Speaking of Wrightson, they just came out with a reissue of that Batman book he did, The Cult.
Oh, I think I read that somewhere. Somebody posted something about it on Facebook.
Also colored by Bill Ray, but it's nice. Well, this is interesting. Oh, this was for The Masked Singer.
I was going to say, this is actually from The Masked Singer, and so sold by Albert for $15,000.
What? $15,000 for that? Oh my god!
Hey,
got ripped off.
Well, if you're going to pay for a commission by him, it's going to be 25. So 15 is kind of a steal. Actually.
I guess. I don't know. Batman with his watch on and that rabbit head there. Whatever. I don't know. It's a fun show. I watched that show with my daughter, and it was fun to see. You know, Jim on there, and
bought a few
the clues here, all the clues for the whatever. But $15,000 seems a little excessive for that, but somebody wanted it, I guess.
Hey, fan of the show.
Yeah.
Then what was this? This is another Albert sale. Albert just dominated. This is a Dick Ayers, Jack Kirby pencils, Strange Tales issue 114, one for $15,000. So that's not too bad.
Same price as a Jim Lee drawing of The Masked Singer. So interesting. That's a cool page though. Look at all the Human Torch. Gil Kane. Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. Gil Kane over here on the last one. Yes. Gil Kane. This was DC Comics Presents number 62 cover from 83. Sold for $12,000 by Anthony.
Anthony.
Hey, way to go, Anthony.
Yeah. It's always weird to have swastika art. You ever had art with swastika? I had a Jim Lee page that had a swastika on it from that Grant Morrison thing, and it always felt weird to have in my house.
I think, yeah, it's always going to be problematic. I don't know, in its own weird way.
Yeah,
it's a great cover, right? This is a memorable image.
Yeah, absolutely.
But
I mean, that's another guy, Gil Kane, that was like Infantino when I was a kid. I was like, I don't know if I like those faces. It's so weird, but you know, I was such a John Byrne guy.
I know I had the same problem. If it wasn't Byrne or Perez,
that's
they
right.
stopped.
That's right. It's crap.
You know, there were like a few exceptions that I kind of got interested in, like Rick Leonardi doing
Arthur Adams.
Yeah, but it was few and far between, and they were all to me like one hit wonders. Again, it was back to Perez or Byrne.
Yeah.
Yep. What are you gonna do? Yeah, Rich Danny's didn't look like looking up nostrils either. Yeah, it is what it is.
Yeah, right. Oh, yeah.
All right, let's see here. So let me go ahead and close this for a minute. I think we get that's all the stuff from there I got to talk about. I mean, well, yeah. Oh, I could go over the auction houses, but man, we don't have to. eBay had a very middling.
Anything cool?
Yeah, not. There was a what was it? There was a Jim Lee Scott Williams Iron Man splash page that had the Hulk on it. Went for $5,100 on eBay. Then
that seems reasonable.
Yeah, that was it wasn't a bad piece of art either. But then the rest of the stuff on eBay was kind of blah. There was I think a Joe Simon cover, vintage piece that sold for only like a couple $1,000s. Then over on Heritage, none of the pieces I highlighted last week made it in the top 3. There was a Graham Nolan Barreto Vengeance of Bane piece that went for $7,800. Another Infantino Star Wars page that went for $5,700. Then I almost highlighted this one, a Reed Waller Omaha the Cat Dancer unpublished page went for $3,600.
Wow.
It was just kind of cool to see.
Yeah, well, it's always interesting, that there's a contingency of collectors that like collect a completely different thing too. Like, oh, I like Omaha the Cat Dance or whatever. But talking about eBay, I think tomorrow the auctions that 4C was promoting about cartoonists for Kamala,
Oh, that's right.
for Kamala Harris.
Mhm.
There's some really good stuff on there. There's a Spider-Man by Aranga. There's a thing by Floyd Norman that was from the original Jungle Book. There's stuff by Scott Shaw. There's a Mike Allred painting like this one that's Spider-Man. Fantastic. Going to a good cause and pretty cool stuff. There was supposed to be an Art Adams in there. That they showed, but I haven't seen it show up yet. But it's all on eBay. So
yes, it is. I'm glad you mentioned that. I had forgotten about that. We got it into the CAF email for Bill, but yeah, I did forget it was ending this close. And
yeah, it's pretty short auction. I think it ends tomorrow.
All right. Well,
Aranga's piece in there is really good. I mean, not that that's surprising, but it's so cool. It's Spider-Man soaring over a city. Great stuff.
I'm getting a lot of grief for mentioning Omaha the Cat Dancer.
Oh, it's Friday night. Look, I've got a naked lady in the background.
What?
This is Dave Crossland drawing back there. She's topless, but it doesn't matter.
Yeah, I already.
The Ninja Turtle doesn't have a top on either. I'll turn the page.
I was trying to find that darn. I think I already closed it. The Omaha the Cat Dancer page was totally fine and legit. It was like they were walking and talking on the street or something like that. It was, but the art. What's that?
Did you read it? I never read that.
I never read it either. I mean, I just was always familiar with the art, but yeah, I'm gonna make them see it now because this it's not a. I had to go find it again though. Darn it! Where the heck is it? It was very tame. It was very tame.
I always was like, oh, I want to read Omaha the Cat Dance because it'd be an Amazing Heroes. There would be all like the Amazing Heroes preview special.
Yep.
Excuse me. In the 80s, and there would always be things for like Omaha the Cat Dancer. As a matter of fact, there was a comics interview that was like, should comics be censored? And there was a guy that used to draw like really large-breasted women named Peter Shee, and his art was in like this comics interview. And I remember my mom finding it, and she drew a bathing suit on the lady.
She was having none of that, right? She probably got a big fat Sharpie.
Oh yeah, she and my sister found my Playboy one time, and it was the Playboy that Frank Miller was in. It's the only thing I've
bought
ever
it for the Frank Miller article, right?
Yeah, well, sure, but I mean, it was the only thing I've ever stolen in my entire life. And I hid it. I would hide it, but it had a big article about comic books and everything, and I hid it under my bed. And she and my sister found it and put bathing suits on all the ladies too. So
one piece bathing suit, right? Not even bikinis. They didn't even let you see.
They just colored them in.
Yeah.
I thought it was funny. Yeah, this is a nice page. Look at what a good artist he was or is. Is Reed? What's his name? Who did Omaha the Cat Dance?
Reed Waller.
Yeah,
is that right? Reed Waller. I don't know. I mean, I never followed anything related to it, but I mean, this is a great page. When I saw it, but I thought, oh, everybody's going to give me crap if I highlight a piece from this.
Think about how popular that would be now. How people are like so into furries and shit. Like, I mean, Omaha and Chuck. So that's me.
Anyway, so there it is. Totally safe, PG. I didn't read what they were doing in there, but either way, but you're right. I mean, my daughter loves drawing like anthropomorphic characters.
Right. I mean, just before his time.
Yeah,
I always think about that. Like these
into that stuff today.
People always talk about. Somebody was talking. Oh, I know what it was. I was listening to an interview with Eric Larson the other day, and they were like, "Well, what if in the 1960s, Jack Kirby or maybe it was Eric Larson. I don't remember who it was. Jack Kirby and Steve Ditko and would have gone out and done their own comics label, kind of like what Image did or whatever. But I just thought like things have to happen in a time and place. Like they can't happen outside of that.
Mm-hmm.
So is something funny happening in the chat?
I'm just reading the chat.
Yeah.
I was saying that it was a tame page, and Marcus said, "Well, it's just your starter page, Bill. You'll upgrade soon." Oh man! All right. Well, I don't know how we're going to get done by 11 o'clock now, but we're gonna go. Yeah, we're gonna dive into the weekly picks here now, and we get started off with you. Chuck, of course.
Yes.
And who's
Mobius.
collection? Oh, Comic Art Channel's calf gallery.
Yeah, I think that I may have picked two from his gallery. I'm
You
not
did,
sure.
but that's okay.
I mean, they were two really cool pieces. So how cool is this piece? You know, this is the Mobius that I like a lot. The small line Mobius, you know. I don't know what this story is. Maybe this is from the end call. I'm not sure. This reminds me of like that Dune stuff that he did. It's beautiful. It's well rendered. It's very French. Yeah, I really love it. And then tonight, with each piece of art, I thought I'd pull up a book. So for this one, I've got Dr. Mobius and Mr. Gear. So it's really interesting. You find out a lot about Mobius from this book. He's such an interesting guy. A lot of like was living in a commune and kind of followed this guru for a little while. And I mean, when he's drawing these books, he's living in, you know, kind of squalor, and then he goes to Hollywood for a little while, and he's like, oh, I did that for a little while, and that was cool, and then I came back to France. And so I mean, he was just sort of a bit of a vagabond. I don't know, you know, it's really an interesting guy who drew beautifully. I mean, talk about, I guess that's something that I love about comics, is it's a combination of storytelling and illustration. You know, I like the well rendered pages, but there's an originality to it as well. It doesn't always have to be everything exquisite or perfect, but when it is, you know, it's really something else. And look at what is that guy wearing? That's crazy. Think about having to draw that over and over.
Hey, he created the costume, so
right?
I mean, he knew what he was getting himself into. That's Jack of Hearts level complexity.
Right? Yeah. It's crazy. That's why he cut him off at the, you know.
Yeah. He's like, I'm
and
not
the little lines in the face, and it's just everything is it's so thoughtful.
Rich says he barely appears in the story. See, so he knew what he was doing. He's like, all right.
The other guy, he's like, let's just fill him in with black.
Yeah, I like to do this
I've
thing.
tried to read the end call
4 or 5 times.
I don't think I'm smart enough for it.
I've not read it either.
I have 2 different copies of it. I have one in French and one in English, but neither one of them have been read. Because, like I said, it's not my bag, but also I just don't think I'm smart enough to understand it. So this is early Nexus, you know, right? So you see Paul Galassi in all of what Rude is doing here, but he's taking so many chances with, like, you know, he's like, I'm going to render this panel in black and just show the outline of Nexus, or do that hallway and do it as a, you know, kind of op art sort of Steranko inspired thing. It's really fascinating. And this is another one that I think about. Like, you think if Nexus, because Rude is still out there, like, you know, he's doing a new Nexus book. This came out what, 50 years ago, something like that. I mean, 40 years ago at least.
I'm not sure.
78 probably, maybe 83. Anyway, so it's been a while, 40 years. And he's still out there doing Nexus, right? You know, and so I don't know. This is a Felix picked this up. I know he's a big fan of Nexus, and this is a really, really great page. This was and Rude has this book called the Nexus Chronicles. If you're ever looking for a Nexus kind of artist edition, this is a really great book that has a lot of behind the scenes. You can usually pick one up. He'll have little sales, but it has all of the you know, a lot of the original art, the original pages. This is one that one's Steve Rude, and that talking to Mike Barron there, and there's you know, Magnus Robot Fighter and Kirk and Spock that were in that issue, that Nexus. And it's funny because that was one of the things that Rude talks about now. He's like, I was doing this book for Marvel, and I would put these people in the background, and they'd be like, no, you can't do that. Like, and he got really mad about it, and that's why he stopped drawing Marvel comics. I don't know where these guys get these egos, but like, I mean, he's a great artist, though. He is just incredible. Just incredible. He's a good book.
I agree. I've got
You like Steve Rude too, right?
I do. I have a piece by Steve Rude in my selection as well.
Cool.
So then we go over to Alex Saviuk and Dave Hunt Inks.
So, you know, I don't have a lot of I'm not a real nostalgia guy. Honestly, I think I've determined that I'm not nostalgic as much about comics because I never left. Like I started reading comics at, I don't know, 6 years old, and I've never stopped. Like, it's never like, I went through this dark period where I just stopped. I don't buy as many comics anymore, but I still obviously get some. Anyway, but this is my buddy Doug Pfluger. This was one of his pieces from the first comic that he ever had. And that is a nostalgic thing, I guess, for everyone. You think about that one book. Is there a book for you that you had?
I do not have a book, unfortunately.
You don't remember the first comic you ever had?
No,
If you had to guess what
the first comics I read were like my uncles, had a bunch of comic books, and I'd go through them. And I remember reading Ditko Doctor Strange and some more stories and some Kurt Swan Superman, but I can't think of like the first book that I would have picked up off the rack, because I've always had comics in my life one way or another, so
there's an Invaders book for me that, I've never been a fan of, like, who was the guy that drew the Invaders, the series in the 70s? What's his name? Anyway, Robbins, right?
Oh, Robbins, Frank Robbins. Yeah.
Yeah. Which, but I'll, if I ever see those pages or that, cover, I'll probably just, I'll trade 3 Quietly's for it or something. But anyway, so it was funny. This is a fun story because this was at Memphis Comic Expo, which is coming up in a couple of weeks. If anybody's in Tennessee or nearby in West, let's see, what's that, Arkansas or East Arkansas, or that's not too far. It's kind of a fun show. I mean, it's not they've moved it this year. It's going to be downtown, but usually there's a pretty good guest list. Whoever organizes it obviously has a lot of love for comics and artists. Mm-hmm. So I usually drive down there. Last year I drove down there for the day. Doug and I hung out. We talked to Alex Saviuk for probably a good 30 or 45 minutes. We just sat there and chatted with him. It was really, I don't know that much about Alex Saviuk, but except maybe he worked on Spectacular Spider-Man. But he was a really nice guy. We had a really good conversation with him. And so Doug was looking through his great, I'll be there too. Say hi if you see me. So he was flipping through his pages and he saw the book, maybe it was the one before this or something like that, and he was like, oh, do you have any other of the pages from this issue? And Alex was like, no, I don't have any of those. I think those went to the inker or something like that. And then Doug found this at his at an auction afterwards. And so how exciting is it, like, to get a page from like the first book, like you can remember, like it's something that you kind of like, you're doing this new collecting thing, like, right? And so you kind of have your passions and the things that you collect and everything, but then to have something that really connects that thread from 0 to 50 or 7 to 50 or whatever age it was is really cool. But also I don't have any Alex Saviuk to talk about, but I do have these 2 Green Lantern it's called Green Lantern Earth 1, Volume 1 and 2. And it's kind of like Green Lantern Police Corps. It's a really cool Green Lantern story. And it's written and drawn by Gabe Hardiman, who he does some comics, and he's done a lot of storyboarding, and both of these are really good. So if you're just looking for an interesting Green Lantern story that's kind of a different take on the old thing, that's where I'd go.
This is our Friday book recommendations too.
Why not? I don't know. I just
I know.
A little bit.
I never try to think of it like that. No, it's great.
I mean, I can just ramble too, but I thought it might be kind of interesting and plus that's the other thing. Having everybody over here a few weeks ago when Chris and Eric were down, I was like, oh, you guys got to come see my room. Just because, like, most of the time it's like nobody gives 2 shits about this room, right? Like sometimes people are like, wow, is that real? Is that a background? Right. Work stuff or something. But in general, like nobody really sees it. So it was kind of fun to show it off a little bit and show it off here. How about Travis Charest? One of the most influential books. This book came out in 1997, I think it was. I love how it says inker various. So they obviously all worked on it, maybe. But I mean, it was such a just an amazing book. And I think it's as influential as any book from that time. Like, when that book landed, it really was just it took comic art again. Illustration, comic art are kind of two different things, but when you can kind of combine them and masterfully at the same time, these guys got to make a living. Sometimes I don't know how they do it. It doesn't happen fast, obviously. With Travis, what has he done? Like 5 books in his entire career, a few more than that, but this was just a beautiful thing, and all the gray tones, how they worked that through. His design of Wolverine, his design of Zealot. I mean, he was kind of started out as sort of a Jim Lee guy, and then you know, I don't know, he transcended it, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. It's an amazing page. It really is. I'd love to see it in person. And what's more amazing is that from everything you've read too, is that there were a lot of different inkers that probably touched this page, and they still kept the style and the consistency there. And I mean, that's just impressive.
I wonder if they knew like that it was, somebody should ask Jim Lee about that at some point. He was supposed to do the 4th issue too, and he didn't end up doing it. But someone should ask Travis or Jim or somebody, like, just what, like, Lance Suarez can ask him. Did they know how special this was when this was coming out? I mean, it blew everybody's mind. And ever since then, it's one of those books that artists go back and they're like, oh, Wildcats X-Men #1, Travis Charest. Just, it made me, you pick it up. It's one of those things that's a book that you look through and it just makes you want to draw.
Mm-hmm.
For Travis Charest, I didn't put up a book, but I did get a Travis Charest recently. Oh, look at that. Here, I'll pull it out of here. I mean, it almost looks like a print, right?
Yeah.
I mean, pretty amazing stuff. So he did a phenomenal job on this Superman. It was
Where'd you pick that up?
From Travis.
Oh.
Yeah, this was I got on the list when he started that list a couple of years ago. And finally my number came up. I said All-Star Superman. I wouldn't quite call that All-Star Superman, but it's probably the best Superman he's ever done, I think. It kind of has like a classic vibes to it, which I thought was cool. And it's almost like too perfect. It's like a Drew Struzan or something. It's really nice. So this Barry Windsor Smith, I mean, how weird is this piece?
It's
like,
very
how
weird.
Weird was Rune? But again, there's maybe a theme in what I like. It's illustration combined with comic art, fine line work, people that really put a lot of thought and energy into the work that they're doing. Doesn't matter what they were working on. And this was that 0 issue. It was like, it came out when Malibu Ultraverse. I mean, Barry Windsor Smith, like, talk about the artist that just would jump around to all of these different places. He's at Valiant. He's at then he's at Malibu. Then he's doing something for Wildstorm. I mean, for somebody who is incredibly talented as he was or is, he jumped around a lot. And then he did this great book. I've got those here somewhere too. That was like Barry Windsor Smith Storyteller.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like he did 9 issues, and then Dark Horse was like, we're losing too much money on this. And then I think he just kind of got pissed at the comic book industry. I mean, he's had 1 or 2 books since then. But I thought that this was such a cool piece. Like, his line work on this is incredible. And it's almost like when he created this character, it was like a stream of consciousness. It wasn't really like, I mean, the arms are so wonky, the anatomy. Like, how when you see it on Weapon X, like that Weapon X book that he did, and you see all of the tendrils and all the stuff that's going on, it's like he's just like, I'm just gonna just draw the heck out of this. I mean, I love it. So this is a cool piece. I have these books, again, kind of an unreadable book, but it's beautiful to look at. And he did a cool one. There's a Conan the Barbarian Rune crossover, which is kind of cool. But you look at that, I mean, I wonder if that's where whoever designed that thing from Blade, remember Blade, the vampire hunter? I mean, this came out before that, but vampires didn't look like this before that. And then in that movie, they kind of have the same kind of fangs. So you wonder if they're like, oh, I'm going to take that.
It's entirely possible. Now, this is in Carl's calf gallery, right? Yeah, Carl Choi.
Very cool.
Carl's been picking up some good stuff lately.
Yeah, he gets good art. Barry Windsor Smith, Opus 1 and Opus 2. It's beautiful artwork inside, and Barry goes, and it's just like long rants throughout the thing. There's tons of essays all throughout each one about, I don't know, everything from being an artist to, there's all kinds of different things. So it's pretty fascinating, but it's got some really, just beautiful Barry Windsor Smith artwork in them. And so if you find these, you can usually find them, pick them up at used bookstores pretty cheap, I would imagine. I'm sure they're expensive on Amazon, but you can find them pretty inexpensive, I would think. The second one's harder to find, whichever one that is, but great books.
Rick Welch says they are must-have books.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Here's that Kurtzman you were talking about earlier.
Yeah, I've kind of I remember discovering EC. There was a guy that I worked with in high school named Kevin Hartnell, and he was the box office guy at the movie theater I worked at, and he was like, "Oh, you've got to see EC comics. Those are the comics that like." I was reading Wolverine and Batman or whatever, and he's like, "No, you got to see these." And they just started reprinting ECs, and there was a bookstore right down from us. And at the time, it was like Tales from the Crypt and stuff. But I've grown to love these, and I think Johnny Craig's probably my favorite of their artists.
Mm-hmm.
But I have to really appreciate what Harvey Kurtzman did, and I think these are such interesting pages. They just have such energy to them. Like, he may have drawn it in 2 hours. I'm not sure. He just burns through it. There's great cartooning on there. So I also like that it was like quicksand. Everything was quicksand back then.
Hey, I thought I had quicksand in my backyard, in the 70s. So
right.
I never strayed far from the yard.
That's right. If you go too far in the woods, you're going to run into quicksand, and if you run into quicksand, they're never going to be able to get you out.
Exactly.
Ever. It was in every
I was
all over Gilligan's Island.
Right.
But these are my favorite reprints of ECs that they do. They don't have that garish like reprint coloring, so these are all in black and white. And these are the two Kurtzman books. This Corpse on the Imgen is just really interesting stories. I wasn't a war story guy, but I've learned to appreciate it as I've gotten older. So it's really beautiful drawing, really cool, expressive ink work. So good stuff. I think these are Fantagraphics books. I got a ton of them over here. Those are the best reprints that they do, I think, of the EC stuff. Either they put them on slick paper over the years, or they reprint the color, and the color doesn't look good.
Mm-hmm.
So here's Jaime Hernandez, who I've kind of become a little bit obsessed with lately. He's such a great artist. And, the funny thing is when you look at this, it's so sophisticated, but it's also really simple. So simple in a different way than like Darwin was simple. You know what I mean? Like it's these spotted blacks. It's like these characters in the foreground and their thin lines in the background. He's not afraid to just make the hair a big black shape. I mean, how many times does that happen on this page? It's fearless artwork, but it's also, you can see there's such expression in all of the characters. So you've got like, a lot of, Archie comics sort of, but with, late 80s, early 90s.
Right. This could be a
Los Angelinos.
Jughead and Archie hanging out, making fun of the girls or something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
It is simple but sophisticated.
Yeah.
I mean, and he distorts anatomy. Look at the size of the mouths in the second panel is just insane.
Right.
I don't think the Joker could make a face like that, and yet he does it here, and you don't even think twice when you look at it. In fact, it feels normal, and you just move on to the third panel.
Well, I wonder if it's because they establish the drawing of the characters is established in the first panel and maybe even on the page before, but it's established so well and it's drawn so I wish I had a better word for how well he draws, because I don't feel like I have the words for it, because he's such a great illustrator.
Mhm.
You know, he's got really control over the brush and the pen. And so they establish it really well in the first panel. So in the second panel, it's not too off-putting, you know, but you follow these curly haired characters, and then you got the character with the white streaks in her hair. And then, you know, I love it. I love his artwork. This was a great one. This book was the art of Jaime Hernandez, The Secrets of Life and Death. And it was pretty, I mean, I think I got it on Amazon for a steal. And then at the same Memphis Comic-Con that's coming up at the end of this month, the first one that they had, Jaime was there and he was doing sketches. And so I have a nice Penny Century. I don't know if you can see that. It's kind of
nice.
white balance. Yeah, there it is. Inside there. So he said, you know, it was like $25 for 30 or 25 or $30 for like characters he creates, and then $100 for a character that somebody else created. I think that might have been 2015, 2016.
So you could ask him to draw a Wolverine for you.
Right, but he would have charged a lot more. Yeah. So
I mean, that's not what I would ask him to draw, of course, but
yeah.
I imagine somebody probably did.
Maybe they would. I don't know. Maybe he would think it was interesting. Maybe he wouldn't be interested in it at all, and it would just be a crappy Jaime Hernandez Wolverine. Like, you know, I don't know. But anyway, yeah, Chris Samnee. I don't ever know what else to say about Chris Samnee, and about. I just read an interview in Draw Magazine about him, and so that's why I picked this piece. He's just a masterful comic artist. I don't know. I thought that book that he did recently was really good, called Firepower. I know he's getting ready to do a Batman and Robin book. I'm glad that there's a place in comics for him, because it's a very kind of it's a classic style, but then also has all of the solid underdrawing there. So, you know, I mean, you see Toth, you see Dave Johnson, you see all of the I see Cliff Chang, you know, you see all of these great influences. But you know, it's so well composed, right?
Yeah.
Superman fighting a big robot.
I would have picked it if you hadn't.
Yeah.
And Marcus says Samnee always gets picked. And he says, you're doing the same picks as Snork.
Damn it. I thought I just did the same picks as I pick every time. I kind of go, but yeah, he does. I mean, you know, you always want to share that art. I mean, I think that you think everybody appreciates it, but maybe somebody new is watching and they don't know Chris Samnee's work. I don't know, but you know, what he's doing there is really hard. You know, I guess I'll put it that way. I think that what he does, like that, this composition with the S right in the middle of it, but then having Wonder Woman walk through the wreckage, and like, it doesn't completely make logical sense, but it all makes sense, and it's all solid, and it's all well framed, and the darks are on the outside, and you know, it's kind of like how you would compose a photograph, right? So I don't know the amount of, and then there's technique in there. So you've got the brush lines and the, you know, all of the other thing, but no little lines, which is kind of interesting too. So yeah, I mean, I don't know what else there is to say about Chris Samnee. This is a great book that everybody knows, the artist editions. So this Daredevil artist edition that they came out with a few years ago from his Daredevil book that he did with Mark Waid is really cool. One of the really unique things about it, there's a couple of things I really like about it. One, on the bottom, I think it's on these.
You're going to need a bigger library, I think.
Oh, yeah, no, for sure. Anyway, I don't know where it is, but on the bottom of some of the pages, he writes the amount of time each page takes him to draw. And then this one also comes with a Daredevil thumbnails book. So it's got the script, and I don't know if you can see that, but then all of the thumbnails he did So it's a really comprehensive artist edition. Anybody that likes original art or ever wanted to be a comic book artist, it's definitely a really cool one to have because it's a lot of process, which is cool. There's another one that came out with recently. There's a Black Widow one.
That's
Now I got to talk about this page because this is I got a bone to pick with Tom because I mean this page, I'm sure he was looking at it like I was the entire week, and it kind of sat at nothing on Heritage Auctions, and I was feeling good about it, and every time I'd put in a bid, it would go up. And I'd put in a bid and it would go up, and it finally got to like 1,800, 2,000, something like that. I'm like, I can't. This page is not even worth. I mean, I love this page because I love Jose Luis Garcia Lopez, George Perez. I thought it was a diamond in the rough that sometimes is in on those Wednesday auctions. I'm like, this page is incredible. It has all of Jose's acting, and it has all of Perez's, little accompaniments there. I mean, it's just a beautiful page. I guess it's Return of Donna Troy. I don't know. I'm assuming that's like something from Titans, like later on. But like, Tom, I ran you up. I'll tell you that. So I was so lucky. Yeah, you would have gotten a lot cheaper if we would have talked before. Because it was like me and then somebody. I mean, it was obviously Tom now. So I really wanted this page, and but I know Tom loves George Perez, and so happy you got it, bud. But
it's a great page and a nice combo too. Garcia Lopez and Perez.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's so interesting, isn't it? It's like there's those pages that he did with John Byrne in that's in Superman 600. I mean, we really have to find a place where everybody can talk about collusion so we don't run up the prices on these things, because I would love one of those.
We are our own worst enemies.
Oh my God. It's like that was you. So like probably he would have paid if I wasn't. And I mean, when I kept hitting that button, I was like, what am I doing? I was not going to pay more than $1,000 for this page. It's not worth it. But I just kept going and kept going. Finally, I was like, all right, I can't. This guy's not going to let up. So Tom, anyway, the cool page. And this is I may have shown you this before. My art of at that same Memphis Comic-Con, art of George Perez, and he did a nice little Wonder Woman inside there. But this book is great. Art of George Perez. I think. Oh, IDW. I was about to say. I thought Dynamite did it. Maybe Dynamite did a different one. But it goes all the way through George's career and has a lot of good pencil work and a lot of good artwork in there. And I love George. He's somebody that is the comics industry really misses that guy. He was such I met him a couple of times, and he was such a friendly person and such a inspiring creator, and his art was really beautiful. So
that is true. Now you only have one other pick, and everybody was probably thinking they were not going to see John Byrne.
Oh, come on!
And now,
come on!
You saved the best for last, right?
That's right, John Byrne. John fucking Byrne. He's awesome. Like, I mean, how cool was it that John Byrne? It was like you get some Yahoo is doing, and I mean, maybe it was early Mike Mignola that was doing this before Byrne, that was doing Hulk before Byrne, but everything, any book that he touched, then it would be like, whoa, here comes John Byrne. And he came on and he drew the coolest Hulk. And then he put all the other characters in there, and they looked as cool as they ever did. I mean, Doc Samson, I always thought was kind of a dumb character. I'm a huge fan of Hulk the character, but I can't really say I'm a huge fan of like Hulk the book. I was never a collector or reader of Hulk, but I think the Hulk is such a cool character because everybody can relate to the Hulk, like just getting pissed off and breaking shit. Like every human being, male, female, short, tall, whatever, everybody. So anyway, John Byrne came on the Hulk. He only did a few issues. Every page is beauty. there was a heritage auction that, I mean, one of the splashes just went for a steal not too long ago. So you know, John Byrne, I can't say enough about him. I think he's one of the best cartoonists that's ever been in comics. Best comic storyteller, an interesting and fun writer, and even up until some of the last stuff that he did, he was firing on all cylinders. He's really he just has a mind for comics. So it's beautiful. I don't remember if I got a John. Oh, I brought these. These are kind of fun. Some people may have these out there, but this focus on John Byrne, I remember when I got this and like getting these interviews like with the guy, like it was you know, like reading an interview with Jesus to me or something. I just I loved it so much. And there were these as well, which I don't know if people have these, the X-Men companions.
I've got the one on in your left hand. The Michael Golden cover?
Yeah, the Michael Golden. That's the second one, or no, that's the first one. So the first one has Cockrum and Claremont and maybe Lynn Wein or something, Roy Thomas. And then the second one has Byrne, Claremont, Terry Austin. And, you know, it goes, obviously it was like later because it goes up through Days of Future Past. And then, oh yeah, and Louise Jones at the time with Chris Claremont talking about the X-Men Teen Titans crossover. Anyway, these are really kind of some. If you're interested in comics history, like going back and finding books like this that are only a couple, you know, you can get them pretty cheap. Maybe they're online somewhere. I'm not sure, but they really give you an insight of what was happening at the time with the comics writers, the comics artists, and I don't know. I always loved reading that stuff. So those are three. I think these were all Fantagraphics books. So this one's got a Fred Himbeck back cover. Who's got that? Somebody got that out there? I'd like to have that one.
Art.
Yeah, no shit, right? That's so cool.
We need to get him to recreate that for our next sale. That's awesome.
Bill, I think you just woke up Jason D'Ambrosio.
Thank goodness. That guy, he was falling asleep to the sound of his fish tanks humming and bubbling away. I follow Jason on Instagram, so I get to see all his fish tank videos.
He's a cool dude.
Yes, he is. Oh, see, he says he'd like that. If we get him to do a recreation, okay.
Get him to do one of the classic X-Men and then get him to do one of the new X-Men. I mean, come on.
So here you go. Frank Brunner, Doc Strange 1.
Wow.
What's his name? I forget the owner's name. Oh, Phoenix's Galactic Gallery. Just keep posting hit after hit after hit.
That's really something else. I mean, that's quite a classic, huh?
Yeah. Yeah, and what a great cover to kind of start a run too. Just the ornate background. I mean, Frank was really like on his game at this point. This is like the height of his I don't know, all the things we like about Frank's style, were defined in these early Doctor Strange. And I just think, even though the monster is kind of weird and everything, Strange is cool, the background's cool, and for an issue 1, it just has perfect impact to kind of get you into to what the stories are going to be.
Where is this from?
Is it here?
Anybody know? I just wonder, looking at that, like,
no,
it looks like you're almost seeing the impact that Bernie Wrightson was having on art and comic books, right? Like, look at that candle. Like, it's almost like somebody's like, Bernie, this is how Bernie would draw it. I don't know. Or maybe Frank Brunner had that impact on Bernie Wrightson, or maybe they were challenging each other or something. But, I mean, people weren't doing those fine lines.
Right. I mean, I would think, a lot of this comes out of Wrightson, and Brunner was, Wrightson was late 60s, early 70s stuff is when he started having a huge impact on other creators. And Brunner, I don't know. I was going to say it's late 70s too, but I'm not sure. It's a 20-cent cover, so yeah, it's got to be in that time period. Yeah, we're waiting for Marcus to tell us the answer. Where's the professor? When
I would think that it would be like 73, 74, but I mean, I don't know. That's just a guess. Anyway, it's a very nice cover. I mean, does he have the printed cover there?
No.
Oh,
No,
okay.
he did not.
I was just wondering how much of that line work fell out on the printed cover. Like, there's so much fine line work. It's well preserved too, right? I mean, I would assume that's a
So he was 73. So yeah, it was early.
Yeah. 51 years old.
Holy mackerel.
Yeah.
But a very good one, and nice to have on calf.
Yeah.
Then this was in. This is Dan Poddick picking this thing up, and this is just so fun. I mean, I hope this winds up like behind his bar. I mean, because that's exactly where this thing should be. It's just a classic image. I mean, why put that much detail into the background? But thank God that that he did, right? Because it's just amazing.
You just hope that some rando had it in their bar for years and years. Like, I remember I used to go to this bar and it had an original Doonesbury just like on the wall or whatever. Like, you know, you just kind of hope that this was just for some reason that it was just like behind glass at some bar for 40 years or whatever.
Yeah, it's so cool. I mean,
no, it's great. You wonder if you should ask Ron Wilson if this is the place that he used to go. that's Bud's or whatever that was down the street from me.
Right. This is where all the Marvel staffers went after work.
Right.
It's about the editorial team.
How is that stool holding up the thing? He's got his feet up on it and everything.
That is a good question.
Holding his weight up. So that's a reinforced steel.
Yeah, Reed Richards made that just for him.
Right. But you know, you look at it a little bit, and once you kind of dig in a little, you're like, the perspective kind of falls apart with the stools and this and that. But it doesn't even matter. It was such a this is like 70s Marvel to me. This is what it looked like. You know?
Yeah, it's awesome. Well, congrats to Poddick for picking this one up.
Yeah, it's real cool.
I'm sure he was freaking happy.
Yeah.
This was the piece I mentioned earlier when I was talking about mystery sketches. This is Simone DeMeo, and this was the potluck piece that was given out. Like, you know, you've got your mystery sketch for your 225 with shipping, but we gave away one. I forget what we call it, just a potluck upgrade.
Yeah,
and I think it was like a $600 to $800 value, and Khalil got it, and you know, so he would have gotten that free of charge, right? He was going to switch. We were thinking that he would switch to it, but he chose to keep his original one and pay another $200 so he could basically get the mystery sketch he wanted, but knowing that he was going to get this.
Right.
So I thought that was nice of him because it added another sale for us that evening after we closed everything. But yeah, how awesome is this? So, you know, you get this for $200. I think Simone DeMeo is just awesome.
These Italians, they got it going on. My gosh, that's like the grain in the grays. That's what's kind of interesting to me. Like, it almost has a grainy look to it. Like, is it airbrush? I can't remember. He does a thing, right?
He's a sponge.
Yeah.
And you know, I regret not going over to Tulio's table at OAX
You'll have another chance.
I will have another chance. I will. And I'm going to make sure I have time, because I didn't even look to see like any of Simone's work. I love his stuff, and I've never seen a lot of it in person. Even though I've seen Simone at shows before. I'm more talked about.
A beautiful one. Chris's is great.
Yes. Yeah, that's true. The PC picked up at OAX was incredible. But yeah, so I'm going to make a point of going over to both and checking out both of these guys, whatever Tulio has with him, because I love both their work. And that's a big.
You know, I mean, there were some. Didn't he have a sale with you and the Batman and Robin covers or pages?
Yeah.
You know, they're kind of expensive, but I don't know. I guess to have a good example. I mean, they're as well drawn as anything that's out there. So, you know.
Well, congrats to Khalil for doing this, getting this
Ninja Gaiden. Boy, what a throwback to that game. Did you play that? I played that game on Nintendo. I love it.
That was because that was like the Nintendo 64 or something, right? I can't remember.
It was Nintendo 16.
Oh, was it? Okay, I
Yeah,
don't.
yeah.
You know, I played Atari, and then my brother had like a Nintendo 64, I thought. But I remember playing Ninja Gaiden.
Yeah, I mean, they had it. It was kind of one of those franchises. There's probably even a new one now. I'm not sure, but yeah, I think it was. I remember it on the original Nintendo, whatever that was, 816. I don't know what you'd call it. NES Entertainment Center.
That's what Stingray says. NES. Yeah, I don't know. It's been a long time. So here we have a Jeff Jones, Harry, part 1 of 6. I had no idea what it is. I think that was the doll or something. I forget. I remember reading the description.
Don't go, Harry. Do you want to see what's that way, Harry? No.
Yeah. No. Exactly. But I have always wanted a piece by Jeff Jones kind of from this era. I'd rather have an, I Am Age or an Image, however you want it, whichever way you want to say it, piece. But I just love Jones from this era, and I just love the tree, the growth is like, white. I don't know, just his approach is just wonderful, and I just can't imagine what like the stuff that he and Wrightson and Kaluta, and Barry Windsor Smith, the talks and fun and weird stuff that went on just with all their creativity and in one space for during this period. But Jones, it's like I've never really liked his paintings as much. I mean, they're okay, but I'm not a big fan. I love his ink work.
Yeah,
I would kill
kind of a combination, right, of Kaluta and Wrightson. He's somewhere in the middle, like although he spots blacks more than either one of them do.
True.
I don't know their a lot of their work. I mean, over time, I've seen a lot of it, but it was never something that like I kind of grew up reading or anything. But every time I see it, I think that it's really beautiful. So, yeah, really nice.
I'm jealous. I'd love to get
some
one day.
Yeah.
So this is in Ben Friedman's Calf Gallery.
See that face in the third panel? I mean, Will Portasio, does that not look like a Will Portasio face? Like, I'm just
kind of
right. So like, I'm like, did Will Portasio? Like, you always wonder. Did you ask him that time if Bishop was based on Arnold? That cover from Arnold.
No, I know you're talking about that. Did that come up? I don't think so.
I've
been wanting to try to get Wills back on if he would do it. I think
bring him to OAX.
There's 2026.
Oh, okay.
He's somebody that I've put on the list with a few other artists. Well, but we already have like 35, 40 people on the 2026 list.
Oh, okay.
And all new, all new artists really for 2026. So yeah.
Well, I hope you have some for 2025 too.
Oh, 2025 is settled. That's why we already have a 2026 list. That's the problem. It's been it's agonizing.
But you wonder, like, I mean, and artists a lot of times there's that was the whole thing that Ed and Jim were like kayfabe, like the artists, they say, oh, I didn't look at this, but like that I mean that looks like so much like of a drawing. Maybe Wills did it 100 times, and now he draws that way. It's crazy.
Right. I agree.
Kevin Catalan.
I was not familiar with Kevin Catalan. It's in Daryl's Calf Gallery.
Daryl loves Lone Wolf and Cub.
He really did. And I think he posted at least one other really awesome Lone Wolf and Cub piece this week too. I just thought the composition's great. I mean, everything, the whole piece is just fantastic. Is everybody beheaded? I guess this guy up here, he still has his head.
Yep. Like maybe not though. You're just from the angle. Maybe he does. Maybe he doesn't.
Right. It's not. It's cut off.
Daigoro does though. Although it's kind of like this hand here in the middle looks like it's like Daigoro doing like that. Weird tangent, isn't it?
I mean, the face on on Cub is just so perfect.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love this. I just thought it was so unique. And Daryl finds some artists that like just like this guy. I don't recognize the name, but they do really great work. And
he's Tyler T. West.
Tyler T. West. Okay.
Right. He'll find some randos to do his like characters that like use a lot of ink and do some really cool drawings. And I mean, I don't know how random Catalan is.
I have no idea.
A lot of people may know him really well. You know, it's interesting what a cottage industry this just doing commissions has become. I mean, like maybe Kevin Catalan did a one comic book for Marvel or did a 8-page story or something, but mostly he just does commissions. Maybe, I don't know, and or maybe he has an indie book or something. I mean, I don't see a lot of pages. There you go. There's a couple.
Jeff Wedding has a Darth Vader. Yeah, I mean, gosh, he's a great illustrator.
Yeah,
you can see
yeah.
little touches of Daniel Warren Johnson and
Stegman, some of those guys. Yeah,
yeah, definitely.
well, it's a new generation, Bill.
Nothing wrong with that. I mean,
No.
it allows us to be good patrons of the arts.
But it's interesting how it's kind of become this like a whole thing. I mean, some of these places, like it's people that are drawing comic stuff, but they're not comic book artists. They're really good artists. They're not comic book artists, but they're getting paid drawing comic book characters, like doing commissions year round, maybe. I don't know. That's an interesting thing to me. It's kind of a new thing. Look at that. Look at the shoe coming off there. I like that.
Yeah, I kind of liked it for the shoe too.
Yeah.
But this is Bianchi, of course, Uncanny X-Force, and I think this was in Jason's calf. Yeah, Jason got this one.
Yeah.
I just like the piece. I like the composition. I like the these oddly shaped panels. I mean, who does that? 5 edges, but hey.
Only like Bianchi. That's been his thing since day one, and he does it great. That looks like a wing for a Star Wars TIE fighter or something.
Yeah,
I mean, it's so cool. And then how it breaks there, like the black breaks, and then you've got the building outlines in the background, and then you've got the super detailed face right in the middle. So cool.
Agreed. Yeah. Nice pickup, Jason. Jason's been, hey, Jason, if you can break away from the fish, he hasn't been doing his usual 12:03 post. He's been a little late. I saw a 12:13 post the other day, and so you got to set the time to the time, man. You're not keeping on the schedule that I know and love.
Of the fish, is he posts? I mean, I think I follow him on.
Well, he posts on CAF. If you look,
okay.
Every other 50% of his posts happen at 12:03 a.m. And I don't know how he does it, but clearly it's a thing. And maybe at midnight the shackles come off, and he's allowed to use the scanner.
Yeah.
And he scans that one piece of art, and he's got it all typed up and ready.
One
and
per day.
At 12:03. I'm
not.
Speaking
of somebody that posts every day, people should check out Andre's gallery, because he's got an entire New Mutants annual that he's been posting day by day, or maybe it's every day, maybe every other day, but he keeps posting pages from it. It's pretty cool. Like it's that first Lila Cheney annual New Mutants. He's such a big New Mutants guy, so everybody should check out his gallery. I didn't pick one of the pages. It was on my short list, but
Andre gets picked a lot.
Yeah. Well, he gets cool art, man.
I know. That's why. I mean, he's got great taste.
Yeah.
And the thing is, everybody's going to become a stalker once you have access to the app. It's not like I'm stalking. It's just that when you can scroll through everything in a timeline, the times start becoming more important. I don't know how to. Because we have the new page on CAF, you can look at like 18 pieces at a time, whatever. But you don't really look at the time, right?
Yeah.
You're really just looking thumbnail to thumbnail to thumbnail. When you're scrolling through like a timeline, I don't know, the times stick out for me. And I mean, it wouldn't have happened had I not had the app. So I'm not stalking you guys. I'm telling you, you're all going to become app stalkers in some weird way. But anyway, so here was Andrew Hanna. Had this piece, Steve Rude. It's the Halloween season. I thought a skeleton and death together would be nice. And I just love the blacks in this thing. I love the blacks are really what make the the characters pop, and even that skeleton. And then and then just the silhouette of the legs of the skeleton. I mean, I don't know. It's just a nice piece. It's just back to
and the shadows of the trees on the ground, and like I mean, look, and also, like Jaime Hernandez here. You know what I mean? Like it just seems so effortless. It's so the underdrawing is all there, it's also thought out, as well as like, you know, even the direction that they're turning, and then it's emphasized by the ankh on her chain.
Mm-hmm.
It's yeah.
No, it's great. I mean, Rude is amazing. I mean, you said it all earlier, but when was this piece done? Is it?
I mean, this is part of a. Oh, that was in a commission.
So it might be around 10 years old, or like I don't see it. Oh, wait, 2015. So
Yeah.
okay, I can see it right.
So it says the commissions from 2015 to 2020. It's but I feel like this was up at auction recently.
It was, yeah.
This piece recently. But you know, for again, Steve Rude is it says 2015. Yeah, you're right. That's 9 years ago. Steve Rude is 60 something, maybe. So I mean, this is a guy that's been drawing comics for years, and then he's doing. Yeah, I mean, this is as good as anything he's ever drawn.
Yeah. Congrats, Andrew. This is a winner, man. I really like this piece. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. And her face is so nice there. I love this. I saw this. Yeah, this was on my short list too.
Yeah, I came back to this one a couple times because, you know, it's like I like Opeña's work, and there's just I don't know, the battle scene's fun. Getting Wolverine's claw right through his head like that. I mean, it's just not something you're going to see too often in comic book illustration.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, look at that. Even that first panel, just seeing the claws poke through his head like that. I mean, it's just raw and done in a style that, you know, it's not heavy. It's very light. It's like, you know, I love the light wash tones in here. I didn't look to see if they posted like a published image to go with it. Oh, they did. I almost don't want to see it.
No, show it. I mean, it's kind of cool because it adds depth to
Does
it? Yeah, I mean, if you look at it,
oh yeah,
what he's doing there is he's got tones, and then it's kind of painted, and so it actually kind of looks more like a watercolor.
It does.
It's interesting because Opeña's, like in the past, what he would have done with that page. I've got some interesting books here. Actually, I'll pull one of these out because I really like them. They did these big books for 7 to Eternity, but in the past, what he would do was he would render all of that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So he would render all of those gray tones as ink lines, but very fine ink lines. So it's interesting to see him do this style where he's using Copics. I mean, I assume that's what that is. Is like he's doing kind of outline with sort of like what, you know, Adam Hughes does or Gene Ha does, you know. So he's doing some of the small lines, but then he's doing all of the rendering in Copics.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of it's very different for him, but I mean, it still is Jerome Opeña, who is just a phenomenal artist. So
it's beautiful.
Yeah,
all its violence.
Quan put some of these pages up, Quan Chang's site, not too long ago, probably a half dozen or so, whatever pages he did. So this was a great get. I mean, they were expensive, so, but they're really nice, especially that one having Wolverine, Apocalypse, and Deadpool on it. That's a cool page to have.
Very straight claws on it too.
Yeah, very straight.
All right, whose cap gallery was this? Justin Y. All right, so this is Bill Sienkiewicz.
Who? Bilson who?
Who? I just, you know, Bill can always draw a good likeness, and I just like the composition of the piece. All those guns, it's impossible. There's no way all these people can get that close. But Bill makes it work to the point where, it's impossible. But yeah, I love it. I love Bill's work. Bill's one of my favorite all-time artists, and I just thought this piece was really cool. And I didn't even look to see if I'm assuming it's just a commission. Okay, so it's not published at all.
Okay, how cool. I mean,
right. I mean, would you expect something like that, you know, from him for a commission? I mean,
or maybe it was just even something that he just drew, and he's like, "Yeah, I did this thing at John Wick." You know, like it seems like whenever I see things from Bill Sienkiewicz, it's like, yeah, he just had this in a portfolio at the show. Like, I mean, it's so cool. And that could be a movie poster. You know what I mean?
Yeah, Marcus says that's the poster to 4. I don't know. Is it?
No.
I never saw 4. I hate to say
Yeah.
it. That's the only one I didn't see. But
I've only seen the first one. I don't even know if I finished it, but
oh,
I'm not a big John Wick guy, but I mean, I think it's a cool as hell.
that's all right. I want to be John. I've watched it. I like it.
Okay.
All right. So we got one more piece to go. So everybody says it's a movie poster. I wonder why
okay. There you
Justin
go.
White does not know that he has a commission or a published piece. He thinks it's a commission.
There you go.
Oh,
Yep,
and it does say New York City 2024. What?
Or maybe that's where he got it. Was New York Comic Con?
Yeah, but that's coming up, right? That's
yeah, good point.
next week. So why? Maybe he's picking it up there. There's no story here. He hasn't written any information about it.
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, then, so I just finished with a Tyler T. Another, I'm not even gonna try to pronounce.
Karunaru.
Sean Karunaru. Yeah. Tyler, he just finds people that I have no. Well, he's got he just has their Instagram link in here. So yeah, I don't know, man. Sean, Tyler just finds some of the craziest people, and it's just cool. I love his eye. I mean, there's no comic book illustrator that's going to draw Juggernaut with 2 round eyes, right? You just do that, and he's already like twisted the character in some bizarre way. I mean, outside the fact that his arm is bigger, looks bigger than his legs, looks big. You know what I mean? It's all everything's totally disproportioned. And then he draws him with these 2 little round eyes.
Yeah.
And that kind of fun stuff just, I don't know, intrigues me, interests me.
Yeah, kind of like what he left out. But you know who would do that? Mike Mignola.
All right. Yeah.
And what you're seeing is a whole group of people who grew up on Hellboy and Mike Mignola and the Goon art. I'm not saying they're copying it. I'm just saying it's stuff that they liked, and now they're doing their own versions of it. And that's something that Mignola would never have strayed away from. He'd be like, "I'm just going to do 2 circles for eyes." You know what I mean? Like,
right.
I'm not saying that he ever did. I don't know if he ever did, but it's like when McFarlane did the spaghetti Spider-Man webbing that he's so known for. It was just something that he saw Michael Golden do in the 1980s. He was like, I like how Michael Golden did it in 1982 on that one poster. And then that's how he decided to draw webs. And now it became a whole thing. So it's interesting. That's something that I always like to think about. It's something that we always talk about when we're on these shows is like, seeing the influences of other artists. It's not saying anybody's copying anybody or anything like that, but just saying, understanding that it's all connected.
Right. I mean, you figure how long you got 25 years or what's Hellboy at? Is it 25? I can't remember.
At least, right?
So
90s, early 90s. So
yeah, so early 90s. So we're talking 30 years old.
Yeah.
And I mean, so many people have grown up watching Mignola be Mignola that even if they know it or not, it's going to have an influence on them.
Yeah.
So yeah, very true. And you're right. The more I look at this, the more I think if it's influenced by anybody, it's influenced by Mignola.
Yeah. But it's not. That's not me saying. I mean, it's not me denigrating the artist. Like
no, not at all. It just happened.
Jim Lee is Kevin Nolan meets Barry Windsor Smith, right? You know what I mean? And George Bridgman. You put those 3 together into an AI, you're going to get Jim Lee. And you know what I'm saying? Like
I do it. I know exactly.
Have these things, and then they bring their own proclivities to it, and so. But I don't know. I love the artwork. So that was a really cool one. Very cool.
Yeah. Congrats, Tyler T. Keep finding them for us, Tyler. We're going to let Tyler kind of like write his own like book on up and coming talent. He can do 1 book a year where he should have a show where he closes out the year where he talks about his 12 favorite new artists that he's discovered. He could do it. I mean,
absolutely. And he also does this thing where he'll match somebody he'll be like, I think that they would be good with a Spider-Man commission, or I think they would be good for Spider-Man fighting the Hulk, or I think that the Juggernaut, like,
that Clockwork
Spider-Man,
poster riff or whatever. I mean, I don't know. Oh yeah, with the Spider-Man piece that he posted a couple weeks ago. Yeah, I don't know how he does it.
Yeah, a lot of. I guess he's got a lot of downtown Bill. What's that like?
I have no idea.
He came to our little thing here. It was fun.
I know. I saw the pictures.
It's funny. I asked him. I don't know how far West Virginia is. I just texted him to see if he wanted to come. I guess it was kind of quite a drive, but whatever. Like, you know, we had a fun time. We had a good weekend.
Oh, Tyler's incredible.
He really is.
He's
Really
a lot of fun to hang around with. He is. He's like the life of the party. Whenever he can, when he can get him in the room.
Yep.
For those that haven't spent time with Tyler,
yeah, come to OAX.
That's right. That's right.
And I do want to say again about the market data. When you and Khosrow showed me how it worked, then so if anybody should, I mean, it's invaluable. It really is. Anything that I see on Heritage, anything I see some rando posting on CAF or anywhere else, going back through that data and being able to look at comps around it and see, oh, I see, like there was something that somebody was selling the other day that was like, I was like, oh, I know what it was. It was on Comic Link last night. There was a Daniel Warren Johnson Wonder Woman Dead Earth page. And I was like, well, I wonder what the original price was. It was right around $1,000 at the time that I was looking at it. And I was like, I think that sold maybe a couple of years ago. And you can go in, all of that information is there from Felix. And he sold it for $500. Having that information of what something initially sold for. I mean, listen, people get crazy in this stuff, but it's dumb to be stupid. Like, don't be stupid. Like, I think it's, I don't know. Like, these prices are absurd. That Batman thing today, those prices on that, and I think Nick Dragotta's an incredible talent. But how many Batman books are there a month? Like, there's 100 Batman books a month.
There's not a lot of Nick Dragotta.
That's true. That's true. But like, oh, wow, Alfred's on a motorcycle. $2,500. Like, I don't know. It just seems it's not a proven entity.
Isn't it one of the biggest print runs in a while? I forget what I read. I read some article about it. So I mean, the thing is, but it's books like that bring in collectors outside of our circle. I'd have to think. I would like to think that some of those pieces were purchased by first timers or people who are kind of new to the hobby that are more into the buzz of the success of the book, and that's okay. I mean, at the end of the day, and more power to Nick. I mean, hopefully it means Nick will do
absolutely
more traditional.
I don't know if he has to do a second book now because he just made so much money on that first book. Like,
I think he should make a second book. Actually,
he'll be like, "All right, I'm done now, guys. I can go draw my mech. I did my Batman book."
But yeah, the prices they were. But the thing is, that it all sold. So what
sold.
What does that tell us? That tells us that a popular book with a popular creator who maybe doesn't always work traditionally, but all that kind of spins itself into high value and scarcity, and especially if he goes back to maybe working a little bit more digitally or something like that, and then these opportunities to get traditional work stay fairly rare. I mean, then this thing could happen again. You just never know.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting to me. I don't know. It's hard. It makes it. That's a big number. I mean, a common page, $2,500 is a big number. Like, it's very hard, or like, you know what I mean?
Well, we just haven't seen anything like it since Jim Lee work, right? Where his covers would always start at around 25 to 35 when they were, the newer stuff from 4 or 5 things that Albert would drop. So this is the first time we're seeing somebody other than Jim Lee command, high prices like that, outside of trad, for modern work.
Yeah.
So it's, is it going to be, I don't think it's going to be the norm. I mean, you have other guys like, like the Brian Hitch stuff that I have. I mean,
it's incredible, but that's the thing. The Brian Hitch stuff, it should be that. I mean, it always.
Brian's covers will always be, $1,700 to $3,500, and
I mean, maybe always, maybe not always.
Okay, right. I know. I mean, I'm just generalizing, but I've looked at the market data a lot, and it's like, the guy's great, and he was even better when Paul Neary was inking him. And in my mind, I love the vintage stuff a little bit more than the current stuff, but at the same time, it's just like some artists have a ceiling. I don't mean to pick out Hitch at all. I mean, you can run right through. We were looking at the that market data earlier, right? And
Yeah.
I forget what the 2 pages were, when it's like 15,000 will buy you this, or it'll buy you that. It'll buy you a Kirby,
Right.
a
Yeah.
Kirby strange
It'll buy you
tale,
a Kirby,
it'll
or
buy you
a drawing from the
Masked
Masked Singer.
Singer, right? You just never know, right? I mean,
Yeah.
it's just kind of, it's all
I always
there's so many factors.
I always think about it like kind of like how Dino talked about it early on. And as a matter of fact, I think we're due for another Dino like comic art value understanding the values, because he was such a professor about it, and that's how I always oh yeah.
One way or another, we were going to midnight, everybody.
Oh my God.
I said 11, and it's already quarter till 12, right?
Well, I can stop talking about this stuff, but I'd love to see Dino on here again, because I mean, honestly, how he talked about it made me understand it, and it's how I always think about it. I don't bat in Dino's league.
No,
but-
Dino has a great way of, evaluating art, and probably getting the most he can out of the, because he's got he just has a great collection and a wonderful approach to things. And Stingray, I will tell you that I did have a conversation recently with Brian Hitch, and he is thinking about letting some of the Redcoat pages go. He's not going to sell a single thing from the first book, but I would say sometime after New York Comic Con, we will probably have some artwork available. Not a lot, but he's going to selectively go through like 7 or 8 issues since the first one, and just pick out.
They just 6 just came out, I think.
6 just came out. Well, I think he told me he's up to 8 when we were talking, but he said that he's like, yeah, I think I could let a few go. So and I'm like, well, he's like, I got a long flight to New York. I said, well, just look at everything you got. Pick out the pages you want, just digitally, so you can send me all the scans, and then we'll figure out how to get the art to me. So,
well, but think about Hitch. Like, he has been on, talk about somebody, The Authority and The Ultimates. 2 of, I mean, obviously, yeah, I don't know I understand that movies, blah, blah, blah. And I'm kind of indifferent to how they control the comics and comic art market. And I know people like to hype it up, so I try not to think of things in those terms. However, they're talking about The Authority being part of James Gunn's already announced it being part of the DC. The Ultimates was basically what the biggest Marvel movies ever were. I mean, that's where, you got Ben Jackson, and he did both of those books. I mean, I can't imagine those seem like
influence that Brian's had on those films and comics. You can't measure it, and he was prolific. I mean, when I've been, obviously looking at his work and going through a lot of it, you kind of forget how much, but he was tasked with so many big stories.
Yeah.
He really was. I mean, Age of Ultron. I mean, I know he didn't finish it, but he started it, and I liked his work on the book a lot more than Brent Peterson's, finishing it up.
Yeah.
I mean, and who was ballsy enough to make his inkers work on pages that big? I mean, the artwork ends up being so impressive.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's just it is what it is. I mean, but yeah,
he did a book for Image. He did this America's Got Talent or something like that, or America's Biggest Hero. It was with some British kind of a star that wrote it, I think. But then also, like, now this book Redcoat that he's doing with Jeff Johns, I mean, it's pretty good. Like, I've read the whole thing.
I like it too.
I'm really enjoying it, even though you kind of like, it almost seems like Quantum Leap. What's that guy that played in Quantum Leap? Like, he would play Redcoat or something.
Yeah,
or,
it is like
you know
that.
what I mean? Like, it kind of has that. It has that weekly TV show sort of feeling about it, which actually I like. It's not the same old comics that you're reading, month in, month out.
Exactly.
Tiger's really good too. The other book that he's doing with Gary Frank. So
yeah, I think I like those are the 2 that I like that Ghost Machine is putting out right now. Geiger and Redcoat. But Redcoat's fun because it's it's historical, so there's a lot of things you can relate to when you're reading that. And
is it historical? I mean, there are historical characters in
there. Are historical characters. But it's fun. I mean, but that's what gets your imagination flowing. That's what I mean. Johns has to be excited writing it because he's getting to take period stuff and then just turn it. Einstein. I mean, all that stuff.
Yeah.
It's just fun.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like if you were going to rewrite history and put it in a comic, I mean, you'd probably try to do the same thing.
Right. Benedict
Arnold
Arnold is this the bad, but then George Washington shows up, and
Exactly.
so yeah,
It's alternate history. Yeah, exactly. Steve.
alternate. Yeah, yeah, it's fun.
Yeah, man. National treasure vibes, just fun stuff. Yeah, exactly, Carl. It is. It's fun. And and the guy, I mean, it all starts, like he has no talent. He can't fire a gun. He's, I mean, it's just like you read through it and it's a fun story.
Well, kind of like, wasn't it in Watchmen where they were talking about like, well, the real world got superheroes, and so comic books became sort of something else. It was like pirate stories really took off because superheroes were in the real world. And so it's not exactly that. I mean, again, they keep reinventing Batman every other week, or Superman, or whatever else they're going to do. But that can get tired, and having new ideas like a Red Coat or something, or maybe it's just the fact that I've read comics so long, I don't want to read another of the same story. Like you can only read so many that you're like, oh, I've seen this before. But also, I'm a lazy reader, so I like reading comics. I like pictures with my words. So it's kind of fun to read things like that. I want things that I can read, and so it's been fun picking up Geiger and Red Coat from the store. So,
agreed.
Yeah.
All right. Well, it's 10 minutes to midnight. I'm going to call it.
We almost made it to 12.
Yeah. Well, we could have, but I do have to prepare for my show tomorrow. I haven't made my slides yet for the show with Mark, or John McCrae. Mark, man, I'll tell you. See, yeah, it's been a long day. I got Mark Hay on my brain. But yes, John McCrae tomorrow at 2:00. I wish I could show you some artwork, but I don't have it yet. So we'll just be checking it out. He's got a couple Plastic Man pages. He has a Teen Titans Go DPS. I mean, I didn't even know he worked on Teen Titans Go. Two uncanny X-Men pages with Wolverine on it, claws out, diving on some guy, gonna skewer him. That's right up Jason's alley, right? How many McCrae uncanny X-Men pages does he have? There's a Spider-Man page with Spidey swinging through the city. What else is there? Strontium Dog drawing, that was pretty awesome, like commission style piece. I mean, he's John's stuff is cool, and he's an interesting guy to talk to.
Oh yeah, I can't wait. I'll be working, so I'll have you I'll be on in the background. There's something interesting. I probably shouldn't pick it up because I've bought too much art lately. Anybody ever feel that way? Like you're like
too much. I think we all feel that way. It's been
but there's so much out there, right? Like there's just it just keeps coming.
See, you keep rolling us into other topics.
Okay, I'll end it.
You notice that? Because we got OAX coming up, and there's going to be a lot of art to look at.
Fred Hembeck. Tell Fred Hembeck to find this.
Find that. Yeah, he may have that lying around.
Yeah,
I'm going to ask him about it. I actually owe him an email this weekend. So that was the Back to. Was that the Back to the Companion 2?
Yes.
2.
The first one is Michael Golden, front and back. And this
one. I'll ask him
Bill
about
Kane on the front and
back
X-Men on the back. He's
Got
like, oh yeah, that's at the bottom of a pile somewhere. Let me get it out for you, Bill.
Exactly. I love it, Tom McDonald. I bought my last piece of the year 5 times in the past 3 months.
Yeah, you could have not bought that George Perez Jose piece, and I would have it.
That's how it goes. All right, everybody. Thank you for hanging out with us on a Friday evening. We sincerely appreciate it. I'll be at it again tomorrow at 2:00 with John McCrae. Please tune in and hang out with us. Buy some art if inclined, but at the very least, throw some curveball questions to John. He'd appreciate it. So but have a wonderful night, and thanks for all the concern. I've probably got 24 emails where I should have replied to people saying that thanks for your concern. I've been fine, but I appreciate that. I do, as does Kezra. Kezra had it worse than I did. He was almost flooded. I only had bad winds.
The guy I worked with, 4 feet of water in his house in St. Pete. That was from the last one, so I haven't talked to him since this one. So.
Yeah. Well, again, this is the second Friday show we've had to do in 3 weeks because of hurricanes. So hopefully this is the last one.
Maybe they're done.
I hope so. But all right, everybody, have a wonderful evening. See you tomorrow.